tonight. The Lions charge, ready for the fight. Noble hearts and steadfast pride. Detroit spirit, we wear it white. Feel the drive, hear the crowds embrace. Rocked on, Detroit Lions will rise. Rocked on, Detroit Lions will rise. With a heart full of dreams and the fire in our eyes. From the past to the future, we'll claim our own. In the home of the brave, we'll proudly have grown. With every game, we rise and unite. Feeling the passion igniting the light. Through highs and lows, we'll stand as one. Our legacy, a tale that's just begun. Together we roar. Together we grow. Rocked on, Detroit Lions will rise. With a heart full of dreams and the fire in our eyes. To the future.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
All right, welcome in. Good morning. It is the Fallout Friday. Your Detroit Lions lost on Christmas Day. Exactly what I didn't want to see happen. Ruining Christmas for all the Detroit Lions fans. Just another holiday and another reason to be pissed off as a Lions fan. We've been enduring it for generations now on Thanksgiving, and now the Lions on Christmas. You're going to have a bad taste in your mouth for years and years and years to come of just how horrible this team was on Christmas Day. But it's Fallout Friday, so what happened? What happened with the season? We're going to dig into just about everything falling out online. The Lions fan fallout. Who's to blame? Who's not? Is the honeymoon over with Dan and Brad? Some fans want Dan fired. Some fans think that Jared Goff's the problem. Well, you know I'm going to have a different take, and I'm sure Eric has a different take yet. So let's get Eric in here. Let's just get right to it. By 8:30 is our goal to get phone lines open. I'm sure we have a lot of people that want to call this morning to air out their grievances. You'll get 60 seconds. You state whatever it is you want to state. We'll move on. We'll answer it. We'll see where it goes. But good morning. I apologize that we have to go through this now for the last couple of weeks of the season. It's football, man. It's the NFL. All right, Eric. Good morning, man. How are you?
Devastated.
Yeah. Heartbroken.
Traumatic. It's like being in a car wreck. So, like, the only way, the best way for me to get over this is to get on here and talk about it. Because, like I was telling you beforehand, this is my therapy to get over what happened yesterday. This is seriously to me like having a bad trauma, and then if you don't talk to someone about it, then it just burns in your belly and it doesn't go anywhere and you can never get over it. The only way to get over it is to talk about it. And this sucks. I hate doing the show the day after the Lions get their ass handed to them by a shitty team. It sucks.
Great defense in Minnesota.
Yeah.
But they couldn't move the ball, and you know what? Our defense was playing well, but I don't want Lions fans to leave this game thinking that our defense was dominant, because they weren't. They were. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't want Lions fans to think our defense was dominant. They were, against a depleted offense.
Yes, very.
Just like our team is depleted. You're talking a Vikings offense yesterday that was missing
all of their offensive line.
Yeah, you're down to like third and fourth tackle. Their starting center,
their third string quarterback.
I think they had a second string guard in at right or left guard. I have to find the post again.
Their center was out. Their left tackle was out. Their right tackle was out. Their whole friggin' line was gone.
Right. And what have I been saying? And I'm not going to go into Aiden or anything right away, but we'll talk about the sacks. We'll talk about the defensive line.
I'll say this about Aiden's sacks. They were both on third down, and they mattered because they made it a punt.
That's great. But my point is this: when does Aiden typically show up?
In the beginning of the game.
That's one. When else does he typically show up?
When it doesn't matter.
Maybe, but against third and fourth string offensive linemen.
Yep.
That's when. And if you think I'm bullshitting this morning, you can just go look at all of the games that he's had sacks in and tell me how many sacks came against a starting right tackle or left tackle. And then I want you to do one more thing. I want you to go in and look at the arm length of all those starting right tackles and left tackles, whether they were starters, second or third string. Look at where Aiden was lined up. Was it guard? Was shading the guard, inside, outside, lever? Where was he lined up at? The one thing that I begged and pleaded for the last several weeks for Aiden, which was a noticeable difference for me yesterday, was get that man standing up. Get him standing up, playing it's somewhat of an off-ball style of a linebacker, but get him out of the dirt, get him on his feet. He was able to see, survey, and strike. And that is exactly what you ask your defensive ends and your linebackers to do. Survey the field, right? And strike. And he was able to do that. Now, it was against the depleted offensive line. Lions reportedly had 7 sacks. We can't figure out where the 7th sack came from. There's 6 that are reported on ESPN or attributed to 6 players, or the 6 sacks were attributed to Lions players. 2 to Al-Qadim Muhammad, 2 to Aiden Hutchinson.
1 to Alex and 1 to Tyleek Williams, his first ever.
But the 7th one is missing. We don't know where it belongs. At least I don't remember who got it. Maybe it was Aleem.
I think it was Aleem, but they're not showing anything for Aleem McNeil, not even a tackle.
So, not to get bullish on Aiden this morning. I will say he played a lot better standing up, and if they haven't figured it out by now, that's how he plays better. You have to leave the dude standing up. You have to be able to adjust your scheme a little bit to allow him to do what he needs to do. I don't think it makes a difference if you're standing up or in the dirt scheme-wise. I think it just gives Aiden a little bit more of an opportunity to see what's in front of him. Plan his counters better. I think his spin move works way better when he's standing up. When he's coming out of the dirt, I think he's too slow to react. And I think his pad level isn't where it needs to be. But yesterday, he showed up, on a couple of plays, but then disappears. Right? And I think the most important thing, for yesterday was this. 7 sacks. Did we win the game? I don't think so.
No.
So does sacks even matter? No, they don't. Now, would it have been enough if our offense could actually do anything? Absolutely. But sacks outright didn't win us a game yesterday. And I get real sick of the chest thumpers that think that sacks are the most important thing that you can have on a defense. Had we had 0 sacks yesterday, would we have won the game? Nope. Had we had 10 sacks yesterday, would we have won the game? Probably not. Because the most important thing yesterday was our offense going up against their defense and how important their defense was going to be to beat. It wasn't so much our defense because we were going up against an extremely depleted offense and a quarterback that shouldn't have been able to do anything. I haven't been able to rewatch it because last night I didn't even watch the last game of the night. My son flew in and decided to hang out with me on Christmas. So
I just remembered who got that 7th sack.
Yeah,
Marcus Davenport.
Oh yeah, okay. I didn't see
Davenport. I saw it. Yeah, it was Marcus Davenport. He got a sack in the 4th quarter.
Anyway,
why that's not listed, I don't know.
Here's what I wanted to kind of go through today, because there's a lot going on online. Obviously, Lions fans feel a certain way. So I'm just going to roll through Twitter and I'm going to start pulling things out because there's a lot of things to pull out of this game. And I think that there's a lot of things to pull away from this season. The first thing that I think that I want to address is this. There was a comment by someone on Twitter, and I don't know where I put it. Maybe I emailed it to myself. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But he made a very intelligent comment, something I haven't even thought of. Now, obviously, throughout the season, a lot of us felt like we had a good team. And I think that we did have a good team. I think we absolutely had a good team to be able to do something with had they stayed healthy. But, I don't know where I put it. Here's the way that it went, though. This is what this guy said. He said, Brad not making any moves, whether it was trade deadline, free agency, which we made some moves in the free agency. I mean, you brought in a pretty expensive corner 2 years in a row. But not making any real significant moves beyond what we already did he realize and already understand that this team wasn't going to contend for shit this year? Knowing how beat up that we really were the season before, bringing back all of those players off of injury, that he felt that maybe the chances were extremely light. And I thought for a moment that is kind of a unique take where maybe Brad really, could see ahead of the season, the way it was going to break down, the way it was going to go down, not expecting to have a ton more injuries, but just bringing back the guys that were already injured. It's not like you could go out and replace all of them. You couldn't. And it's not like you go out and replace every single guy in your roster, which is required to do in free agency, and still have a cohesive unit. Because if you did go out and replace everybody, I don't think that this team is even winning 5 games. You had to keep the cohesion as much as you could, and the Lions did that. But maybe what Brad saw ahead of the game was, 14 new coaches, 2 new coordinators, some new faces, an extremely injured team, both sides of the football. Probably doesn't make sense to sink significant resources, draft capital, for what could be a one and done type of season, and then you're really screwed financially and draft cap wise. So great comment by whoever put that on Twitter. Like I said, I can't find it right now. What do you think, Eric? Think there's anything to that statement?
Give me the recap again.
Recap is that Brad could tell before the season, bringing back all the injured players, 14 new coaches, new coordinators, instead of replacing everybody via free agency, which you really can't do, that he felt that this team really wasn't going to compete or contend for anything. Therefore, he did not sink resources into free agency or trade deadline.
Possibly, and maybe he was looking to the future. Maybe he's looking to next year or the year after. Because this year in free agency, we have zero money. We got nothing. I can't remember the numbers. I think we have $5 million for next year right now.
I'll pull it up
before they do anything. But at one point we were looking at a negative deficit for next year. We couldn't spend anything in free agency this year. We couldn't.
We did.
Had no money.
We couldn't spend more.
But we couldn't. We just didn't have the resources in the future because you had to re-sign Hutch and you had to re-sign all these other people. Maybe Brad was looking ahead and thinking, hey, if we get a last place schedule and we get through to next year, we'll be okay. Because this is the rough offseason. This is the offseason coming up that's going to be the rough one. Not last offseason, this one coming up. Okay. With no money and limited draft picks compared to other years, this year is going to be the tough one. And, maybe next year playing the Cardinals and the Giants and the Titans and the Jets. Hey, maybe playing that fourth place schedule isn't so bad. So, who I'm going to be rooting for this Sunday or next week, whatever day it is, Saturday or Sunday? I'm going to be rooting for the Minnesota Vikings to rip off their 5th win in a row. Because if they take on the Green Bay Packers and beat them, we are guaranteed a 4th place finish, whether we win or lose at Chicago. So I'm not going to root against my team to lose to get that 4th place schedule, but I am going to root for the Vikings to beat the Green Bay Packers to get that 4th place schedule, because then we would be 9-8 and they would be 9-8.
No.
Yep.
No. Packers need to win out.
No, they don't.
You going to tell me that you want the Bears to win the division?
Yes, the Bears.
Oh,
I'd rather
hell
have the
no.
Bears. I'd rather have the Bears win the division.
Hell no.
No, I will not. I will not secede to the damn Packers.
So
No way.
you'd rather secede to Ben Johnson, Benedict Johnson,
Yep.
Arnold.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. I sure
You're
would.
probably in the 1%.
I hate the Packers, dude.
You got to put
Hate 'em.
hate aside sometimes, though.
No,
You have to.
no. I want to beat the Bears next week, but I want the Vikings to beat the Packers, so we get the 4th place schedule. I'll take that 4th place schedule. I'd rather play.
I
the
think
Jets,
we're still going to end up with a 4th place
Titans.
schedule regardless.
No, we could end up with a 3rd place schedule if we beat the Bears.
I'm good. I'm good
the
with third.
Vikings
I'm good
lose.
with 3rd place. I'm good with first place schedule.
Yeah, so am I.
I'm good with it. But the question is more so, did Brad see into the future enough to say, I don't think that this team's going to be able to compete?
Maybe he did.
And
Maybe
that's
did.
why he didn't. And I thought, okay, that's a good comment. But back to your point, kind of what you started with, we really didn't have the resources beyond what we already did in free agency.
No.
Number one, our cap space was around -$5 million to start 2026.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's up to 13.9.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a little bit better.
But the only reason we have that is because Brad didn't spend a bunch of money.
Right, and we still have right now in 2025, and see, this is what fans bitch and complain about the most when they don't understand why, right? And maybe I don't understand the why, but I'm going to give you my best guess rooted in financial stability. We have 20.8 million right now in cap space. Okay, and next season, I believe the Lions have 40 signed already to the 43 maybe signed. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
Here, I can look it up right now. So we have 20.8 that Brad is going to need to roll over. So when fans look at that number and say, but we had $20 million to spend this year. Why didn't we spend it? Okay. If you have $2,000 in your checking account right now and you need to pay your mortgage in January, are you going to spend everything at the end of the year on Christmas gifts and say, I'll get to my mortgage in February?
Yeah. That's
No.
exactly it.
That you're not going to do, or you shouldn't do that. I'm sure some people do, but that's not what you want Brad to do. You do not want him to kick this can and put us upside down going into a new league year where then we have to cut players, good players, because not every single one of them is going to restructure. And by the way, the contracts that the Lions have handed out, the only one that is really eligible to restructure is Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Because nobody else's contract really does much to 2026 draft cap or draft salary cap. I'm sorry, salary cap. Excuse me. So
Yeah.
anyway,
all these people that want to get rid of Goff, you can't.
you can, you shouldn't. That would be stupid.
Yeah, but like that is the number one thing across all social media. This is all Goff's fault 2 years in a row.
Well, we'll get
because
it. We'll get
against
into-
the Washington Commanders, he gave up 5 turnovers, and then yesterday was another 5 turnovers or 6 turnovers, and they're all Goff's fault, and it's all Goff's fault.
Yeah,
and
so
Goff sucks.
we'll get into Goff in a minute because that's a whole, like what you just said. We'll have to re-say it all because that's a whole thing in and of itself. But sticking with the cap space, so in 2025, like I said, the Lions are going to finish the year with about 20.8 million. And now I don't know what happened with the contracts that we restructured or the contracts that they signed. It's now brought the Lions to an $18 million swing where they were negative $5 million to start 26. Now they have 13.8, and you're about to add 20.8 million to that. The Lions should have close to 35 million to start the year. And then the league is going to add another 30 million on top of it. And then Jared Goff is going to be able to restructure probably up to 30 million into a signing bonus. So the Lions could essentially have $90 million next season in draft capital. Or I'm sorry, in salary cap. And that is before they do any extensions. All right, this is before they re-sign Campbell or Gibbs or Laporte or anybody else. Branch, which that's an interesting conversation. What's going to happen with Branch? So exactly why Brad didn't do anything in free agency and why he didn't do anything in at the trade deadline beyond what he's already done. One, I think we had enough. I know we had enough. Had we been healthy, this is a different team. But something really stunk this year compared to seasons before. And it was the offensive line. The offensive line was a catastrophe. A disaster of a season. A super strength the last 3-4 seasons. Probably one of the biggest reasons why the Lions have the record they do this year is because of that offensive line. So now let's go to Jared Goff for a moment. Because yesterday's turnovers were not all Jared Goff's fault. It's a very lame excuse or a lame take to say that it was. I've rewatched the Kingsley Aguakin snaps a couple of times. He's literally moving left before he snaps the ball. Or it's kind of at the same time, so it wasn't a false start. But that ball barely clears his inside right leg. And he's throwing it, to the right of Goff. Not once, but twice. One in shotgun, the other one when he was under center, he snapped it early. Jared Goff wasn't ready for that snap. He clearly snapped it on the wrong count. So that's 2 plays, 2 turnovers yesterday, not Goff's fault at all. The interception that was going to St. Brown. I'm sorry. He must be injured. He must be hurt. Because if you go and watch that route that he ran, one of the laziest routes I've ever seen. Just jogging through the break.
Who's that?
Amon-Ra St. Brown. So one of Jared Goff's interceptions, I believe it was Smith that picked it off. He jumped the route. There's 2 things going on here that I said to Jade while this is going on. One, he's like, holy cow, I can't believe Smith's still playing. Like, dude's 90 million years old, and he's still playing at such a high level. And he's an absolute animal. He's got 39 career interceptions and 20 fumble recoveries or something like that. I mean, he's going to be in an elite group. He needs one more interception to be in the 40 and 20 group. He jumped that route on St. Brown, but St. Brown didn't sell that route. And St. Brown had a very lazy break off that route. Now, where Jared Goff threw that ball is probably where St. Brown catches it every time. Unfortunately, when you consistently target St. Brown and everyone's favorite player, J-Mo, can't get any effing separation from anybody, you can't target him. We don't have any tight ends, so you can't target your tight ends where we normally target Sam Laporta in those situations. How can you blame Goff? He's doing everything that he can with a shit offensive line giving him no time. And then you got a guy like St. Brown who, you have to say, I don't care about his stats this year. He could be so much better. He looks deflated every week. He doesn't look, I don't care about 10 catches a game and 150 yards in a game. He could have 200 plus. It just seems like some games he is just not there at all, just absent. And it's by the work on the field that I'm looking at. I'm looking at the lazy breaks. It's so lazy. I'll do tape review. I uploaded Aiden's. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if it's still uploading. I've never had something take that long. I'll check on it later today. But you know what I'm talking about, don't you? You know about the play that I'm talking? One of the I think it was the second interception of the game.
Yeah.
Does anyone agree?
Oh, I was thinking basically the same thing. I was
Very lazy.
Yeah.
So is Goff responsible for some things? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the batted passes. Okay, I screamed at the TV. I'm like, Jared, dude, why don't you just take one step left? You had time. but he was staring down his receiver, staring down the pipe because nobody is getting open. Nobody. And J-Mo has the worst separation on this team. For being the fastest guy on the team next to Gibbs, why is he not able to get separation?
Yeah, exactly.
None. You know what it is? It's route technique. If you can't dig your feet in and plant and turn and sell it, those DBs know where you're going. And if you're consistently calling the same crap over and over and over, that defense knows where you're going. Look, the defense already knows 95% of what you are going to do on every given play. I'm going to make this statement about the Vikings defense, and I don't think a lot of people know and understand this. And I think someone else mentioned this yesterday too. The Vikings play a different style of defense out of most teams in the league. I think that's understood. The drop 8, the rush 8, that was a couple seasons ago. They still do that to some degree. But they do a lot of post-snap adjustments, not pre-snap adjustments. They'll show you one thing pre-snap, and then you have to be able to read the defense post-snap. So if you're already not getting time because your offensive line is not giving you time, and then you have to read the defense post-snap in less than 2.6 seconds, it's extremely difficult. There's hardly any quarterbacks in the league that can do that. That's what the Vikings do well. They are disguising what they're doing, and when you snap the ball, that is when they make their move. They're not showing you anything before the snap. So Jared Goff, who is one of the best quarterbacks in the league at deciphering a defense pre-snap, well, he struggles post-snap just like every other quarterback does. Not many teams have success against the Vikings defense. And when they do, it's more of a one-off, right? Or they have a good offensive line where maybe they're actually able to get their run game going. And then you could actually mix things up. Dan Campbell was so frustrated yesterday because of the batted balls, the lazy routes, right? The bad snaps. And then he is stuck in what he can actually call. So I guess, I don't know. What is your thoughts on all that?
Well, I got a thought like this. Everybody likes to blame Goff. Everybody wants Goff gone. I want the whole goddamn O-line kicked off into the sun. I want to scrap it and start over again. Keep Penei Sewell and Ratledge, and everybody else can just go. We'll start over with that. Because look at a player like Gibbs. Gibbs, for most of the season, was one of the best running backs in the league. He broke the record with 48 touchdowns in his first 3 seasons, and he would have smashed it. He'd have had 55-60 if we would have had a competent O-line over the last 8 games. But what has he done since the break? 3 touchdowns, 0, 3 touchdowns, 0, 3 touchdowns, 0. And then the last 3 games, 1 touchdown in 3 games. It's ridiculous. Everybody wants more Monty. I wanted more Monty, but you know what? We got more Monty this week. It was 17-10, the way they distributed the attempts this week. So they were much closer. And you want to know what? David Montgomery had 2.5 yards per run. Jahmyr Gibbs had 2.4. They both had a long of 8 yards. Neither one of them could do anything because they're behind the worst O-line in the NFL this week. That's what it all boils down to. For me, if we don't draft and get free agents on that offensive line, this team is cooked again next year. It doesn't matter who we have. And then you sprinkle in what's going on with Laporta. Is he done forever? We don't know. The backs can be finicky. Is Branch going to be back in time to start the season? We don't know. Achilles are hard to come back from. And then players are never the same afterward. And we got to make decisions on those 2 contracts.
Okay, so let's stick with offensive line for a moment because, I think
the offensive line is the biggest issue that we've had all season. It started in the very first game, and it's been an issue every single game all season long.
And I think you're spot on with that. And I will say this. I think I kind of gave, in my opinion, you guys can tell me if you agree or disagree. I think I kind of gave the answer to how the Lions can fix this. And I think, I will just have to do a video on it today. The Lions are so much closer than they are further away. Is that a fair statement? Yes or no?
Yes. Okay. I wholeheartedly believe that this team was on the cusp of of not just a playoff run, a Super Bowl run.
And it's just a few things, right? It's an offensive line that is at least performing at a top 10 level, maybe top 8, and I think that you're changing the dynamic not only of the team, the ability to play call, much differently, and then you're going to win a few more games, right? You're going to be able to control the clock. So with the offensive line, again, I think I said this the other day, but I'm going to repeat myself. Put yourself into this situation for next year. Frank Ragnow, love you, stay retired.
Yep.
Okay, I don't want Brad Holmes to be handcuffed into thinking that Frank Ragnow is going to come back and fix all the problems. That dude is one step away from getting re-injured at any moment because of all of his previous injuries. I get it. He's been off now for a year, and it'll be a year and a half or whatever, when you get into next season. I love you, Frank. Best thing that we've ever had for an offensive lineman in a very, very long time. Stay retired. Taylor Decker probably should join him. And I believe next season the Lions have an out on Taylor Decker's contract. I'll look it up in a minute, but I'm pretty positive they have an out where it's not going to cost them a ton of money by letting him go, whether that's pre or post June 1, I couldn't tell you. But let Taylor Decker kind of ride off into the sunset too. And the reason why I say that is because I believe if Frank Ragnow comes back, Decker will stay. I believe Decker is ready to retire anyway. Now, is Manu the answer at left tackle? No, he's not. Not yet. And maybe not ever. But that doesn't mean that Brad Holmes failed. That doesn't mean that Brad Holmes brought in a project. Brad Holmes brought in a backup. And in every draft, you don't have all-star offensive linemen in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds. They don't usually exist. You're going to get 1 or 2 every 5 years out of those rounds that become really good. You don't have, you can say that about any position, right? Typically in the 3rd round, if you find a competent center or even a competent guard, you're lucky. And those are few and far between. But any position in those rounds, I don't care where it is, I've gone through this 1,000 times. 15% or less of all 3rd round draft picks are ever going to start in the NFL, and 3% of those 15% will become elite football players. So y'all can miss me with the bullshit that Brad Holmes drafted guys that were projects, that he reached, that he traded too much of our future away. Because unless you know the stats about how many of these players actually play in the league, last longer than 2 years, or even start in a game, or become good football players, you probably shouldn't make that comment because it's wrong. What Brad did was look at the situation. We need really good backups at some point. Hopefully now. And if Manu was healthy, he's still a great backup. Manu is going to replace Skipper. Skipper's gone. Decker's gone. Ragnow's not coming back. Manu is going to be the new Skipper. I got to write this down too.
I don't mind if Decker comes back for 1 more year as long as he comes back healthy. If he's not healthy, then see you later.
Well, that's the thing, man. He's got a torn shoulder, and you know as well as I do that's going to require surgery. That's 6 months of rehab, and so that's going to put him, probably right around the, right around training camp that he could be healthy, but it could happen again. Right. And it could be arthritic. It could be bone on bone, and there's no fixing that. So whatever he's
100% healthy with 6 months of healing, then that's it. Cut bait, find someone else.
Right. Well, at this point, I'm saying let's walk away from Decker. Again, love Decker, love everything that he's done for this team. But what I'm looking at is this simple. The Lions are so much closer than they are further away with just a couple of moves. Manu replaces Skipper. Mahogany and Frazier do not have starting jobs right now. Right? You have Penei Sewell and you have Tate Ratledge that will continue to start. So we need everything from center left. Right?
Mhm.
If you have Manu, Frazier, and Mahogany as your backups over Owasika,
Yeah.
Cologne, Eguakun, and Skipper, pretty solid backups, right? Especially when they have starting experience. Thinking for a moment, Jamarco Jones, who, in my opinion, was a much better tackle than Skipper. We lost him early in the fold, like before week 1. If we had Jamarco Jones right now, I think that we're having a different conversation. But let's just say he's gone. Everyone in the backup room is gone. Owasika, see ya, everyone, bye. You're going to gut it all the way down to Ratledge and Sewell, Manu, Mahogany, and Frazier. So what is that, 5 guys? You're going to go out and draft the best overall center in the first round. Now, the Lions are going to be picking somewhere between 15 and 17. That is exactly where Jake Slater is.
Now, do they take the best center or do they take the best left tackle that's available?
Well, we'll get to that. So you take the best center because the centers don't come very often, right? To get somebody like Frank Ragnow, you have to take them when they're available. You can't wait till the second round, they're gone, right? The best center in the league in this last draft was Gray Zabel and might have been someone else. Gray Zabel goes in the first round, right? Your best left tackles, Armand Membu and others, where are they drafted? Top 15, typically top 10. And there's usually only 2 or 3, and they're usually gone before the top 12. So unless Brad is going to trade his way up to get the best overall left tackle, and then even then it's a crapshoot between the top 3, which one will end up being the best. So if you get one of the 3 top left tackles in the draft at 15, yeah, you're fine. You're fine. But getting Jake Slater in the second round, probably doubtful that you're going to get him at pick 45 or 48. Highly doubtful. And he may not end up being the best. He's just the best to me right now. I've done work on him. I've watched the film. I did an article. Right now, he is the best until the height, weight, speed, and everything else that I need to evaluate a player is ready for me on paper, which is the combine. Because I don't have what the Lions have. I don't have all the, papers, 1,000 pages of info on these guys. I don't have the background checks. I'm not talking to their schools. I'm not talking to their high school coaches. You know what I'm saying? I don't have all that information. But I've been pretty damn accurate doing what I do behind the scenes, picking these guys. And right now, Jake is that guy for me. So you now have the best center, and rookie centers can be pretty good. Right? It's a lot different than a left tackle. You're out on an island. A center is between 2 guards. You don't need to put them on an island. But you do need that center to be able to, pin and pull and get up into the second level and help in the running game. And he is a road grader. So you get the best center early. Free agency, you bring in an all-pro left guard. Or you bring in an all-pro left tackle. You're going to spend some money. But if you're saving some money on Decker, and with some of the money that the Lions have seemingly saved, and a Jared Goff restructure, that is money well spent. You replace Decker's contract with another contract, you're probably going to spend another $5 million a year on top of it. You bring in an all-pro that is entering maybe his 5th year. You lock him up for 3 seasons, at a minimum 3 seasons. You are now instantly the best offensive line in the league. Just by bringing in a center in the first round, an all-pro left tackle, and then you let Mahogany and Frazier duke it out for that left guard spot, or you draft another left guard. And I'm good with drafting another left guard because Frazier can end up being that another swing tackle with Manu. So you have two tackles that can back up, and then Mahogany and Frazier can back up, and then you still need one more. You need 10 offensive linemen. And you will need an extra center, which could be Ratledge over time, but you will need an extra center. I don't know what Glasgow's contract is right now. I'm not saying keep him around either, but
I'm sure it's his last year, isn't it?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
So that you're instantly the best offensive line in the league next year. The difference for the Lions last season was from right to the left, all pro, rookie. Who was playing before Mahogany at left guard? Glasgow? It was Glasgow, Mahogany. Did we have someone else there? Why can't I think back to last year's offensive line? Anybody remember?
I don't remember. My brain is so fried this morning. I'm so mad that they put the Lions on Christmas Day, which
Okay, so it was. It was, I'm sorry. It was Glasgow. And so he was not great. He was serviceable, but he was not great. But we had one of the most dominant offensive lines and run game in the league. The difference was Taylor Decker was playing at a pretty good clip. So if you replace him with an all-pro, and you're thinking, look, you're not trading for these guys. I think someone just mentioned that no one's given up. Yeah, no one's given up. And to say Manu sucks, you have no idea if Manu sucks. He's played one game, and he had a knee injury. He's young. Quit listening to idiots that don't know football. You have no idea who Manu is. Nobody does. But as a backup, why do you care? If your backups are in the game, we got a problem. You're not expecting your starters to come out. And the teams that are winning right now and winning a lot of football games, their starters are in. You don't want your starters out. So you have to approach this from the perspective that your starters are going to be in every game. And if they're not, now you need high quality backups like you need high quality H2O. And I could never make an argument that says Manu sucks. Ever. He had one game playing on a bum knee with an offensive line that was trash. Sorry, that's not enough time to grade somebody. It's not enough snaps. But you're not trading for these guys. You're going to pick these guys up in free agency. And if you're telling me that it's a left tackle that has to make a decision about staying with the team that he's at now or going to the Detroit Lions, who are an instant contender next year again, they have more than they don't, they're going to come to Detroit. Who is that? I don't know at the moment. We'll figure that out in the next month. So free agency, you're bringing in a left tackle. Draft, you're bringing in that new center for the next 10 years. And Jake Slater fits the bill. Manu, Mahogany, and Frazier can battle it out for all the backups. And you're still going to have to bring in one other guy. Or you keep Glasgow if he's under contract. As emergency center and emergency guard. You were going to say something.
So Graham Glasgow is under contract through 2026. So he is under contract for next year. We sent him to a 3-year deal. It's for $6.5 million next year. His signing proration is $1.4 million. His roster bonus is $500,000. His cap hit is $8.4 million. And his dead cap is $2.875 million next year.
So he's under contract for next year.
Yep.
Okay. So if you
have him as a starter or a backup, we have him.
What's his contract? How much?
$6.5 million.
It's not terrible.
No.
You could ask him to take a pay cut. Probably won't. And I don't know what the out is. But let me reply to someone that just said you don't draft a center in the first round. Okay.
Why?
So hold on. Just like you don't draft Jahmyr Gibbs or Jack Campbell in the first round either, right? And where are most of the starting elite centers drafted? Do you know? Where was Frank Ragnow drafted?
First round. Played 1 year at guard and then moved to center. So is that the move? Is that the trajectory that Brad Holmes is thinking? Is that Ratledge plays 1 year at guard, learns a few things, and then he moves to center? Because then you can take Mahogany and Frazier and insert them as guards. Is Mahogany a better right guard than he is a left guard? I don't know. So that could very well be a factor.
I don't think if Brad does that, if he surrounds the center of our offensive line with young guys, all young, that's a problem, in my opinion. You need an all-pro next year, your young center, if you draft one, or Ratledge being a first-year center, you need an all-pro to his left or to his right. That's why I'm saying one or both of those guys will be backups. Tate Ratledge should stay at right guard, in my opinion. He didn't like center. He said he didn't want to play center last year or this year. That happened shortly through training camp. I mean, they did it for 2 or 3 days and they pulled it. Wasn't working. It was a disaster. So I don't see him fitting at center. I don't know that he's nimble enough. I don't know if he has the ability to play it and pin and pull and get to the second level like Frank Ragnow did. But back to the question. Where are most centers drafted that are elite? First round? This Fly Parks dude, like bring some facts. Don't just make a statement. Bring some facts. Yeah. Because I'm telling you, you won't win on this channel. You won't win.
There's a bunch of people in the chat today that are not regulars.
No, of course. I expect
from they're other teams fans. They just want to come and live in our misery.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Look, we can be miserable. We know we lost. Well, we know we've had a down year, and that's okay. And you know, what have I been saying, Eric, for the past 4, 5, 6 weeks? Someone had the audacity to have me compare Brad Holmes to Les Snead and Howie Roseman. And I did that. And what was the most glaring thing that kept coming out of those breakdowns? Do you remember?
Brad's different.
Well, I mean, speaking of how they ascended as a GM and when those teams actually won a Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah. It was like 7, 8, 9 years.
Yeah, it was like 7 to 8 years that those GMs came into those teams and didn't win a Super Bowl. Hell, they hardly won playoff games. And you know what? I heard Woodward say it yesterday or the day before. There was a clip that came across my algorithm, and someone said that there was gap years between when other teams have done it. I think they specifically mentioned the Eagles, and I replied like, "That's hilarious. I've been saying that for weeks. For weeks. Just because you have one bad year and you don't make the playoffs doesn't mean that everything is done. Matter of fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the Eagles miss the playoffs the year before they won the Super Bowl?
Yep, they sure did.
They did.
And they started off with 10 wins. They were 10-1 and ended up losing the rest of the games. Went 10-7.
I got to look up a couple of things, but let's go into this. Here's another major issue for me. You're talking about the run game, right? We've been hoping that David Montgomery was going to do some things. I've been saying for a long time, I just don't see it happening. And the reason why is because our interior play was not great. But there's a huge difference between what we did last year and the year before with our run game than what we did this year. And I've been screaming about it week in and week out. Dan, when are you going to go to 6 and 7 man protections? When are you going to have 7 offensive linemen in there in the run game? Do you know who uses 6 or 7 offensive linemen consistently in the run game? Take a wild guess.
The Eagles.
Nope. Well, they might. I don't know. It's someone in the NFC North.
Oh, Packers.
The Bears. And what did the Lions do in 24 and 23 in the run game? How many offensive linemen do you think we use consistently?
6 or 7.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Did you notice on 2 of those sacks yesterday that a guy came completely free with no one blocking him whatsoever,
and that's
off the edge?
Sometimes it's by design. Sometimes sometimes it's by design that you are leaving a player unblocked if you are pulling and going the other direction. Now, without knowing exactly what play, what the outcome was, what direction we ran the ball, I really couldn't comment on it. But yes, you do leave players unblocked at times, depending on what you're running. But that doesn't mean you leave him unblocked and he makes the play. So did that happen? Because I don't know which play you're talking about.
There was one where the guy came off the left edge. It was like a corner or a safety, and just sacked off just instantly. This is one of the fastest sacks of the night last night, and I'm just like, no one can block, no one can chip, because it was Zylstra just ran out on a route. He didn't even chip the guy. Just went to run his route, didn't even turn around, and he was already sacked. So why run this little route where you're not even turned around in time if you're not going to at least chip the guy? Yeah. There's so much stuff to just shake my head about. Yesterday was not fun. Listen, dude, I couldn't even, like, every game this year, when the game is over, what's the first thing I do? I go on and I watch the post-game show from the Detroit Lions, and I watch Dan talk, and I watch all the players talk. I couldn't even do it last night. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I shut the TV off. That was it. I didn't even watch the late game. I was just done with football for the day. Football ruined my Christmas this year. It was awful. I wish they wouldn't put football on Christmas whatsoever. I think it's the dumbest day for football ever. Let the NBA have Christmas.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, a lot of Lions players were
upset,
openly criticizing the fact that they had to play on both holidays.
2 holidays.
And
yeah, so the holidays are ruined because, Panay Sewell can't be with his little kids. Amon Ra was bitching about it on his podcast. All of them.
Okay, but they still have to work that day. No matter what. It's a Thursday. They're still coming into work because they have to prepare for a Sunday game.
Yep.
So what's the difference? You're still reporting.
A lot of years they give them that day off, no matter what day
I don't remember that ever happening. How many teams had Thursday off yesterday? If they're playing this weekend, which all of them should be, how many actually had the day off?
To me, though, it doesn't matter. Just let the NBA have effing Christmas. They always had it. Let them keep their day. If it lines up on a Sunday one year, well, then everybody plays on Christmas. That's just the way it has to be. Or you have all the games on Saturday instead. I'd much rather see that. We need to not do the Christmas thing. And then I had a lot of fans were complaining about Netflix and the game being on Netflix. I didn't like it that people without Netflix couldn't watch the game.
Say that again. The people what?
People without Netflix couldn't watch the games yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And people without Prime couldn't watch the game last night, here in Michigan. And that's a lot of people. Not everybody can afford all that stuff. And then you got to put that pilot on Christmas. Come on.
I mean, I don't know if they do.
And then I saw
I don't know if they do a free trial or anything, but you could have.
You can, but then you got to put in your credit card, and then you got to cancel it. You got to go through all this rigmarole to take care of it. Yeah. And old people, they, like my stepdad, he couldn't watch the games yesterday. He didn't have Netflix. So I just think it's dumb. And then a lot of fans were complaining that their service on Netflix, or whether they were watching it on their phone over cellular service or whatever, that the stream was not smooth, and then it was pixelated, and it was loading and getting the circle of doom, kind of like with the Tyson fight on Netflix. I didn't have any issues. Mine looked perfect the whole entire time. But I had I'll say one good thing about Netflix. Their cameras seemed so much more clear and caught so many more things. The only thing I wish they would have done is shown more replays. They're just like Fox or CBS and all of them. They don't show enough replays. They used to. The NFL on TV
We
used to
know
show
why.
a lot of replays.
Yeah, we know
and
why.
now they
though.
don't show any replays. You got to rewind it and watch it yourself, and it just drives me nuts.
They
And
don't
they
want
do it at the stadium. Same friggin' thing.
They don't want us to be educated. They don't
No.
want us to see what's really going on. All right. So speaking of capturing things, there was something that was captured yesterday by Joseph Gracia III.
Mhm.
Hopefully I
A
said
buddy
it.
of mine.
Hopefully I said his name right.
Yep, you did.
And so I do want to bring that in a few moments because it's an enlightening, and I think I have the answer as to what was going on there. Matter of fact, let's just do that, and then when we get back from this, I will get phone lines open up here in just a few moments, and then I'll come back to the center question in just a few seconds too. People wanting to know how many centers actually drafted in the first round, and I think you'd be surprised. But don't forget one thing. When you have an opportunity to draft a generational type player, one, you hope they are a generational player, but two, you have to take them where you can take them. And I think that Brad Holmes does one thing very well. When he loves a player, he's going to do what he has to do to get that player. And Brad has hit on more than 80% of his draft picks. I don't think that there's another GM in the league doing that. I really don't. And there's not another GM in the league that has been as successful with the players that he has brought in or moved heaven and earth to make it happen. Talking about the last two drafts being a flop, we'll discuss that too in just a few moments. Let me add that. 23 and 24. No, 24 and 25. 24 and 25 drafts. All right, let's roll to this. This is not going to be the greatest version because I don't have a vertical layout. I still don't. Let me make sure we've got audio here. Let me know right away if you guys don't have audio. It could be loud. I'm not real sure. So this was captured. The question is, what the hell was this guy signaling behind Dan Campbell?
Okay, I know this is going to sound a little crazy, but watch this and hear me out.
You got audio?
Yeah, I do.
Everybody's going to think I got a
not on
tinfoil
that,
hat
though.
on, I know. But stop this. This guy right here behind Dan, he's with the NFL. If anybody knows what his role is, I'd like to know. This was during the third quarter. This is the 4th and 1. If you watch it, this guy behind Dan is going to signal a false start. He's going to make a false start signal before we run the play. And lo and behold, on the play, we get a false start. So keep your eye on him. Going to flash back to the guy. There he goes. He's doing the false start signal. Now hold on. Let me turn sound back on.
Offense with Jared Goff. With the way that they've now been running the football a little bit on these last two drives, it could be
I'm going to have to clip this out.
action with one leg, you never know. First turn motion. Vikings pointing towards the line run, and the flag does come in.
Okay, so you see we made the first down. So we would have continued with our drive.
It's coming back. Full start. Offense number 84.
Okay. Now I know everybody's going to say that I'm crazy, but what would that guy be signaling on the sideline? I'm confused. I don't even know what his... If somebody knows what that guy does or what they're supposed to do, please let me know. Losing faith here.
Okay. Let me rewind this. Let me go back to...
So I figured out what his name is. That is the NFL field communicator.
Yeah,
And
hold on here. I gotta get to this armband. Okay. See that armband right there?
yep,
Okay. So
I have one right here.
huh?
I have one right here.
Yeah, that so his is yellow.
Yep.
Okay. And I can't see what it says on there, but it almost looks like Netflix or something flicks. But what I gathered from this is that he's probably the TV liaison.
Well, he's the NFL field communicator.
So, well, he could be one of many, right?
There's only one teal shirt on the home sideline, and that's the NFL field communicator.
So he's probably doing the commercials, is what I'm gathering. I don't know if there's a commercial around this time, but he's probably signaling, okay, we're rolling film again, or we're rolling, we're rolling the play, and it just looks similar to false start.
And that's what it is. It says time in. So the hand signal for time in is a full arm circle to simulate moving the clock. These signals are used to communicate calls and decisions during games, ensuring clear communication between officials and the audience.
So I'm glad that Joseph Gracia posted this, because a lot of fans already feel like there's so much rigging going on. And I look, I'm one that believes that there's some potential. Let me get out of this. That there is some potential for some rigging going on. And here's what I will say about this. Does that guy have too much access? Because you're right behind Dan Campbell calling plays. Why is that? How I mean, is that guy vetted and trusted enough that he's not giving up play calls? What if he's giving up play calls? You know, what if he's communicating somehow, some way to somebody else? And I would never want someone standing behind me that was not a part of my team. I think that is a major problem. So I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't care what his job is. If you are not Dan Campbell's assistant head coach, you should not be directly behind him to see his play sheet and hear his play calls.
Yeah.
Now, regardless of that, if he's just helping with the clock, okay. Or if he's helping with the broadcast, whatever. But great video. I love the tinfoil hat stuff. So you can always send that in. We love it. We love it.
I like seeing that we got some a Niner fan even in here today. And so Niner gang FTTB.
Yeah.
Please, 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 can your team please take out the Packers in the first round again? That'd be so funny. And please embarrass the shit out of them. For me, thank you. That's all I ask, Niner gang. I'm on your side this year.
Here's what I love, man. I love people that, and it's always the same person or two, like saying our defense is trash. Again, you guys all want sacks, right? For all those other
7 of them.
All those other pods that are saying that Brad is the problem, all those other pods are also saying that you know, we needed more edge.
Thanks, Niner gang.
Right? And here's the problem. We had 7 sacks yesterday, didn't win the game. El-Kadi Muhammad has the same amount of sacks as Aiden Hutchinson, and he makes 1% of what Aiden does. So they can all miss me with that uneducated take. All of them. The issue was never edge. The issue is how edge was used. Aiden standing up is a much different Aiden than Aiden in the dirt. The only issue that we really had this year was our offensive line fell apart. You can't blame Brad for injuries. You can't. And I'll tell you what. People saying that the honeymoon phase is over for Brad and Dan should be fired. One, it's not going to happen. When I say something's not going to happen, he usually doesn't. 9 times out of 10. Brad ain't going nowhere. Dan ain't going nowhere. We just had the best 4 seasons, 4.5 seasons that this franchise has had in 60 years. And we're complaining about that, Eric?
Listen, even with a 3-13-1 season in his first 5 seasons, you take the first 5 seasons of Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, their winning percentage is better than any 5-year span of any coach and GM we've ever had. So why would you get rid of that?
And it would almost probably compare to almost every other GM and coach out there, right? For all teams.
Mm-hmm.
in some of their best ever 5 years or 4 years or even 3 seasons. So what? We might finish 9-8 this year. Okay. The Eagles, like I said, they missed the playoffs before winning a Super Bowl. The Lions are right in line with that.
We might finish 8-9 this year, but you want to know something? Listen, the San Francisco 49ers played us in the NFC Championship game, and then they went to the Super Bowl. And what happened to them last year? They went 6-11. 6-11. And now look at them this year. This year, they're probably going back to a Super Bowl again.
And nobody expected that out of the 49ers. They looked terrible all year.
Yes, and now they look great.
And it was largely led by their backup quarterback.
And don't sleep on the Lions next year. The Lions could do that same exact path. Except we didn't go 6-11. We're probably going to go 8-9.
Okay, so there was, I'm trying to look up something right now. There was that large play. Oh, here it is. Eric, you can go into something if you want. I got to look at something real quick.
Yeah. My biggest hope with this season was that we'd sneak into the playoffs somehow and be able to go out and play in San Fran again. I really wanted to take a trip out to San Francisco. Now I'm not taking a trip anywhere. You know, the next trip I'm probably going to take to the Combine. Go watch these kids again, do their thing down in Indianapolis. That's probably my next trip.
I'm going to go to Cancun with Skip.
Yeah, I'd like to do that too, but my wife doesn't have a passport.
Well, you just got to go to Chicago and get one. It takes a day.
Yeah.
There's always Puerto Rico, man. I mean, Puerto Rico's nice too. So I wanted to show this play because for all of this is what I've been saying about a certain individual. And I'm going to end up having to clip this out. But for all of the love and admiration that this player gets, the biggest problem that I have had is what you're about to see again, over and over and over, that it continues to happen at the edge position. Yesterday's game was sealed because of a big run.
65 yards.
Right? And it was an end around Jordan Addison,
who hadn't done anything all day.
And the reason why this play was successful was because our edge decided not to contain and immediately bite on the play. And if I can make this even look somewhat decent, you'll see the jogging afterwards. The no hustle. Whether the play was out of the reach or not, it's not acceptable. Okay, Aiden's on your bottom left. I don't know if you can see my cursor, probably not. But Aiden is lined up where it says 2nd and 10. That's Aiden. Okay, so that's his edge. Aiden on this play should be coming up to contain and close off that edge, set a hard edge. Well, he's not going to get blocked. So what does that tell you immediately as a defender? If you're not getting blocked, well, that should be pretty alarming. But does that mean that you go and chase stats and sacks and immediately bite in on the play? Oh. Uh-oh. I went straight in to go after the quarterback, and it's going the other way. It's going around me. And then I'm just going to jog. Take a couple of steps. Oh! Aiden should have been coming straight north, vertical. You should have been coming up towards where it says 2nd and 10. You should have been coming straight up instead of biting in. You should have known that was going to happen. And then all of our guys on the back end, well, they all failed too. So on this play, when you're manned up, you're man to man again, DJ Reed has got to take his man. But all of our safeties, they all bit. But why did they bite? Like I said, I'll have to clip this out. I mean, you had who is that that's running straight across? Who's up at the top right? Is that? Yeah, so he's working on the receiver, and why was he so late? So he's working on Addison, and then he takes off.
Our own guy takes him out.
Right. But if Aiden just works straight north and cuts Addison off, his number one job is to force that play inside. He doesn't even have to make the tackle. All he had to do is force that play inside. And he had plenty of time and ability to get to it. The jogging at the end it kills me. Absolutely kills me. A lot went wrong yesterday. I'll tippy toe on some things. I know people's feelings are hurt today, so I'll tippy toe around what I really want to say. Sticking with Aiden for just a moment. I looked at something yesterday. Now, I've brought this up a few times about Aiden Hutchinson's contract. And I was absolutely mystified yesterday with what I noticed about his contract. So his cap hit this year, $14.4 million. Next year, $10.2. The 2027, 16.1. 2028, 21.8. And then 2029, $54 million. 2030, $50 million. $104 million in the last 2 years of his deal. Very, very, very smart contract. But like I said, when the Lions did this contract, it was not what people were thinking. Aiden didn't get a good contract. It looks good because the numbers are good. But the way it's laid out and the way the guarantees hit is not a good contract for Aiden. Here's what's interesting. The Lions, if they wanted to or needed to, they're kind of stuck with them through at least 2028. But in 2029, if you release Aiden pre-June 1 in 2029, the Lions will save $31 million. They will have a cap hit of $23 million. Now, if they trade him, things get better. I'm not saying next year or the year after, but if they ended up trading him around this time in 2029, things will get better. But $31 million cap savings in 2029, a dead cap hit of $23 million, which a majority of that is going to be signing bonus, prorated bonus, or proration. So what does that mean? If Aiden is playing 26, 27, 28 for the Lions, 26, 27, and 28, so that's 10.1 plus 16.1 plus 21.8, and then the dead cap hit of 23. We're going to divide that by 3 years, 26, 27, 28. Aiden is making $23.7 million a year. Does that, Eric, does that sound like a contract that trusted? Aiden? That trusted the process? Because to me,
I
that
don't know.
Micah Parsons' contract is the exact opposite. That dude's getting like all of his money up front. Very, very, very smart contract for the Lions. Very smart. So this made me feel a lot better about the situation when you look at paying some of these high-profile players and how they laid out this deal to be fully back-ended, which is great for the Lions because by then, I mean, the cap by then could be $500,000 a year. If it goes up $30 million over the next 4 years, you're talking a cap right around $500,000 or $500 million, excuse me, $500 million per team. So you wouldn't necessarily have to walk away from him at that point. But if you did, if you traded him before the 2029 season began, they saved $31 million and they've essentially paid him $24 million a year. That's a really good deal. That's a really good deal. So I'm only bringing that up because I was interested yesterday in kind of looking at where things are lining up cap-wise for the Lions. What are they going to be able to do over the next several seasons? Back to the question about centers. 21 through 25. Graham Barton, first-round pick. Tyler Linderbaum, first-round pick. 2016 to 2020. Cesar Ruiz, Garrett Bradbury, Frank Ragnow, Billy Price, Ryan Kelly. 2011 through 2015. Cameron Irving, Travis Frederick, Mike Pouncey. So total first-round centers within 15 years, 10. 10. And almost every single one of those guys are elite centers, or were when they played. So 10 out of 15 seasons, 10 first-round draft picks were centers, and a lot of them were selected, let's see, pick 15, Mike Pouncey. Pick 31 was Travis Frederick. Pick 19 was Cameron Irving. Pick 18, Ryan Kelly. Pick 21, Billy Price. Pick 20, Frank Ragnow. Pick 18, Garrett Bradbury. Cesar Ruiz, pick 24. Tyler Linderbaum, pick 25. Graham Barton, pick 26. So am I afraid of Brad Holmes taking a center at pick 15, 16, or 17? Nope, I'm not. Because you don't miss on an opportunity to have a generational player like that. You don't. You just don't.
So who's the guy you like so far?
Jake Slaughter or Slater.
Where's he from?
Florida.
Florida.
You haven't seen the post yet?
No.
Right here. It's got a lot of views.
Was it a video you did?
No. I wrote an article, and then I do the video usually after. I just didn't have time yet. But there's the article on Jake, and then I did an article yesterday too immediately after the game was done, I released it because of the Lions where they're going to be picking, and we know where they're going to be picking. There is an edge right now that's rated as one of the best edge in the league. So if you're thinking that we need an edge, here's the guy, and his name is David Bailey.
That all depends on free agency. So where's Dave Bailey from?
Texas Tech. But I don't see him as a fit. Just little forewarning. And you have to read the article to find out. By the way, I'm giving free 1-year subscriptions. It's about a $96 value or whatever for anyone that wants to sign up on DetroitFootballJournal.com. All you do is put your email in, and when you do that and sign up between now and the end of the year, so December 31st, all of those I'll go in and I will upgrade you to a free year for 2026. And in there, you will have a lot more information coming, but we'll have a lot of film review and things that are going to be done there as opposed to here, because here I have to worry about copyright. There I have to worry about copyright too, but it's less of an issue, especially when I paywall all of it, and that way no one can really see it. So that's where you're going to want to be. You can hand them out as gifts if you want, your father, your mother, your sister, your brother, your uncle, I don't care who. The goal is to get a lot of people signed up and to share the love, man, share the information. So it's a great opportunity. If you want a free year, there'll be a lot more stuff included. I am going to change the memberships on YouTube to include the Detroit Football Journal as well for the second tier. So if you pay the $9.99 a month or whatever it is on YouTube, you will get the Detroit Football Journal included. But this is your best way to get the Detroit Football Journal right now for free for 2026. What do you want to get into next? Phone lines will be open. Make sure you can hear it. Check. You can hear it?
Yes.
All right.
I was handling something. I might have to get off a little early today.
Got about 36 minutes left.
Okay. I got a family thing. Something's happening, so
Well, that's not good.
no.
That's not good. You got to go now?
Soon.
All right. I'll leave phone lines open for the rest of the time. What else is it you want to get into before you got to roll?
I just think I'm not like everyone else. Yes, this is doom and gloom day, but I can see the future. I see where it's going. There we go. Let's talk to somebody. Let's see what the other Lions fans think. Hoping this is Robbie.
No, it's not. You got to make sure that your TV or whatever's off, please.
Okay.
Let me know when you're good to go.
I'm good.
All right. Good morning. Who am I speaking with?
You're all balls, no D.
Oh, what's happening, man? Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Hey, with all this on the center, Frank Ragnow wanted to come back and was unable.
Yep.
What if they do bring him back?
Yeah.
2026.
I don't like it. I don't like the idea. I loved it this year, but the reason why I don't like it is he's been banged up, right? He's got an issue with his foot on the plantar plate that is non-operable. And that was his biggest issue, was his foot. It wasn't anything else that really drug him down. It was that foot. So it's non-operable. It's bone on bone. There's no cartilage there, and it's got to be extremely, painful. They were putting plates in his cleats just to make him, be able to play. So when we look at injured players playing on this offensive line, and Brad and Dan get criticized a lot for bringing injured players back, then where is Frank Ragnow different in that conversation? Why would you bring back a perennial injured player?
Because an 80% or 70% Ragnow is better than what we've looked at all year long at that position, even with Glasgow healthy.
I agree. I agree with that, but he's also got a grade 3 tear of his hamstring, which is going to take a considerable amount of rehab.
And also, he's going to be gone from the league for a year.
2 years.
And Will, your
Right.
volume really dipped.
Oh, hold on. Go ahead, man. You go ahead and finish your thought.
I was just thinking, everybody's, sitting here talking about the center position. Well, that center yesterday looked horrible. I mean, he was hiking the ball to the sidelines, and I just, in my thought, Rags has been there. He's proven. He's a Pro Bowler. Why not bring him back for one more year and build the O-line like we need to? Manow and all of them, they're young, they're not proven, but we need more than backups. We need something solid in there to even get us going. What we have now, our run game is nothing because of the fact our O-line cannot push back through the gaps. you know, to allow Montgomery or Jahmyr Gibbs to get up through.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Hold on, buddy. Hold on. I don't know what just happened.
Me neither.
Oh, there we go. I'm sorry. Oh, now I lost him. I tried to put somebody on hold. All right, who's on the line next? All balls. You can call back. I totally screwed you up. But you gotta turn your TV off when you guys call in. You gotta have all the background noise off, otherwise we can't hear. You can call back. I totally screwed you up. But you gotta turn your TV. Good morning. It's Rockhound Detroit Lions. Who do I have on the line? And they're gone. All right, you guys got to do us a favor. When you call in, please mute all of your background noise. And then we'll bring you in. All balls, I canceled you somehow. So if you want to call back, feel free. Oh, we got someone beating them to the punch. Good morning. It's Rockhound Detroit Lions. Who do I have on the line? Hello? All right. Well, that number, whoever's calling. I don't know what's going on with that. All right, Eric, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear everything.
Because I changed my, I'm wondering if they can hear me. Good morning, it's Rockhound Detroit Lions. Who do I have on the line?
Yeah, I don't think they can hear you. If you can hear me, go ahead and talk.
Good morning, it's Rockhound Detroit Lions. Who do I have on the line?
Can you hear us?
I can hear like a.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so you just got to make sure your background noise is turned off. Your TV, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever you got going on there.
Yeah, I turned it off. I kept calling in because I ain't know what was going on. I kept on going to voicemail or something like that.
Yeah, so
But,
when we have somebody on, we have to, we don't take any other callers.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
No, it's all
I
good.
just
5 lines.
I actually just wanted to know, looking ahead, seeing how everything played out now from game 2. Cause y'all beat. I'm a Bears fan, so y'all beat us 50-something to 21. So looking at it now, do y'all think that y'all still are a better team than us? Even though I know things didn't play out the way y'all wanted to, but do y'all think that y'all still are a better team than us?
That's a great question. Did you have anything else you want to add? Because I'll answer it off air unless you had something else.
No, that's it.
Okay, and thank you for
Who's
calling,
us?
man. Yeah, thank you for calling, man. And all I got to say is good luck the rest of the year. But I'll give you my answer off air.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, take care. Okay,
Who was
so
that guy?
he's a Bears fan. I'm not sure who
Oh,
it was.
okay.
So the question is, are we a better team than the Bears after, wiping the floor of the Bears by, 50 some odd points there in week 2? Are we a better team right now? No. Do we have better football players at a majority of positions? I believe we do. But I think the biggest difference between the Lions and the Bears right now is the Bears offensive line. That is the biggest difference in the way that Ben Johnson is mixing up his play calling. I think that's the biggest difference. Defensively, I don't think the Bears have a great defense. I don't. I think they'll get exposed when they get into the playoffs. I don't think the Lions are going to expose them in week 18 at all. I don't. Even though we know each other really well, we don't have a better offensive line. What do you think, Eric?
I don't see us winning this last game of the year. Right now, the way it sits, who we have on the field, the Bears are a million times better than the Lions right now. We have no heart. We have no will. We have no anything right now. Our team is absolutely deflated. We have no helium left in the balloon. We're a paper sack getting blown in the wind right now. There's no way we are going to beat the Bears in week 18. It's not going to happen. We're going to end with an 8-9 record in 4th place in the NFC North.
Yeah, I would say that.
Am I going to root for the Lions to lose the last week? Hell no. I'm going to be rooting for them to win the whole game because I don't personally care whether we have a third place or a fourth place schedule. I don't care. I'm always going to root for my Lions, but I have to be real. I just don't see us winning that game next week.
I'll be right back. Give me 1 sec.
Yeah. And I think that I don't know who plays next week. Does Gibbs play next week? Do they just put Monty in next week? Does Jared Goff even play next week? You know, do we start pulling starters and play like it's a game we don't need to win? That's my biggest question for this week. You know, are we going to play our starters? You know, if I'm the coach, I'm probably not playing my starters. I don't want anybody to get hurt for next year.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to play any starters either, but I have a feeling that Dan Campbell is not gonna.
Yeah, he's never not played them.
Yeah. Let me get to this next caller here. Good morning. It's Rockhound Detroit Lions. Who do I have on the line? And see you later. Bye. I just saw something that someone mentioned in the chat that the ads
You
were
just
killing
dipped
it.
again.
Yeah, I know.
The volume
I don't understand why it's doing it.
must be because of the calls or
Yeah,
something.
every time a call comes in, my volume is dipping. That's never happened
There we
before. And when I switched it to chat, it seemed to stay, but then they couldn't hear me.
They couldn't hear something. Yeah.
Very, very weird. I'll have to work on that later. I don't know why that's happening. But anyway, so someone mentioned in the chat that you have to work on both sides of the trenches because both of our trenches are terrible. And I mean, I would disagree and agree. I think our offensive line obviously has some major issues. We've gone over that this morning. But more importantly, hey, Robbie, good morning, man. Give me just 1 second, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So the main issue that I see though is not it's less on the defensive line than it is more on the offensive line. Here's why. Let me get my volume back up.
There we go.
The stat lines yesterday, it's still dipping. Let me switch this.
Hey man, I'm gonna dip
You
out.
gotta roll.
So I'll let you and Robbie roll for the rest of the day. Thank you for everyone that tuned in today, and I'll see you guys all on Monday, okay?
All right, buddy. Have a good day. Hope everything goes okay, man.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you. Just real quick, Robbie, can you hear me? Robbie, can you hear me or no? Doesn't sound like you can. You try this. Robbie, can you hear me now? Nope. Raw, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm having some sort of an audio issue on my back end. My audio keeps dipping, which is not a big deal. It's not a big deal. I just got to fix it and then talk and then whatever. So let me just turn it up. Here's what I see to answer the question. So someone said both of our trenches are terrible. And I don't agree with that necessarily, because if you look at what everyone's been complaining about, it's defensive line sucks. We don't get sacks. Well, we had 7 sacks yesterday. And if you take away that one run to Addison, they had under 100 yards rushing all day. They weren't running the ball very well. And Addison is the one that broke it free for 65 yards. That put him over, at 158 yards on the day. So one run is what did it in. And I would say that your defensive end didn't make the play, or didn't at least force it to the inside. I don't know. Anyway, what's on your mind, Raw? I'm going to try to fix my audio while you're talking, but what's on your mind today?
There's a lot to digest, and I was in a few different chats yesterday, and the SOL mentality is definitely in full force. They want to fire Dan Campbell. They want to get rid of Brad Holmes, and I don't understand that thought process like you brought up earlier. Like, we went from 3-9 or 3-14 with the takeover for Matt Patricia. Then we went 9-8. Then we went 12-5. Then we went 15-2. Like, no franchise has had that sort of transformation over such a short period of time as Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. And you just want to get rid of them to supplement them for another Pat Patricia, Bob Quinn type of combination, and that don't compute to me. I don't get it. Yes, we're all disappointed with the season this year. Yes, it was a down year. The depth that we had to employ and start this season was inadequate compared to other team starters. 100%. But if you look at the players that were available versus the players that we got, like, we couldn't have gotten anybody else. The players that we're bringing in and still bringing in are basically practice squad and guys that are sitting on the couch waiting for an opportunity to play. Like Muhammad. He was just waiting for an opportunity to play. He panned out. Not all those guys pan out. We're lucky he did. And he's playing really, really well beside Aiden Hutchinson. We have a secondary. The Legion of Whom right now is, I think, a bit of a stretch. Like, I don't even think it's a Legion of Whom anymore because of how banged up they are. Like, it's just anybody who can run, come join us on the field. That cornerback took a terrible pursuit angle. You're always supposed to stretch, not run lateral with the wide receiver, but you're supposed to cut more outside just in case he's running some sort of wheel or corner route. You get that clean angle to him on the outside. He ran straight across that line of scrimmage with him, and yeah, he ran into his own players, took away his own angle, lost all his speed and momentum because he had players in the way. That's on him. He took a bad pursuit angle. Yes, Aiden Hutchinson was there, could have made the play, but the way those jet sweeps are designed, they're designed to trick the DN. Like, that's just how they're designed. So yeah, you could say Aiden should have done this and Aiden should have done that, but when you're in man and you're running across the field with a motion player, you got to take a better pursuit angle. You got to make sure nobody's in your way to obstruct you from running with your man. Because if that's just a fake jet sweep, that guy's running a wheel or he's running a deep post, you got to be in position to stop that. And he wouldn't have been in position to stop that. That guy, Addison, would have been wide open to catch any kind of pass in that situation because he took a bad pursuit angle.
You know, on that, yeah, one, I want to make sure you can still hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, good. I switched something up here. Hopefully my volume stays better. So on that, let me kind of break down a little bit more of what happened on that play. Oh, looks like my volume dipped again as it's not supposed to. On that play, it was Jalen Mills, I think, that screwed up that entire play. Jalen Mills is the one that stepped in front of, outside of Aiden taking a bad angle, off the snap, but it was Jalen Mills that stepped in front. Was that Reed? Who was that? Was that Rocky Sin? Who was on Addison on that play?
Well,
it had to be Rocky Sin.
As a DB, you're always taught to go behind your defender when you're following a guy in motion or a guy running across the line of scrimmage. You're taught to run behind the defender.
Right, but Jalen Mills
ran straight into them.
Yeah, but Jalen Mills came up into the box, so he ran behind the linebackers and he ran in front of the safeties. But what happened is Jalen Mills, creeped up 10 yards and then got in front of, I can't even tell who that is. Whether it was, it could have been Daniel Thomas. But either way, whoever was on Addison running straight across the field, Jalen Mills came up like 7-8 yards, maybe 10 yards at most, and got in front of him. And then that's what screwed it all up. Otherwise, whoever's in, following Addison had a play. But my question is, if Aiden is watching the quarterback and the football, why is he biting in on a play when no one's guarding him? The tackle goes straight in. He should have known at that play with Addison coming across. He's got to be smarter than that. That's instinctual play for me. And the guys that get paid this kind of money to play a high level, they have to have instincts. Very bad instincts. I don't care about scheme or anything else. I think it was bad instincts on behalf of Aiden on that play. Now, that iced the game. That made sure that the game was over with. There was not going to be enough time. Now, we can always agree to disagree on things and be professional about it, but that's just how I feel. Like, instincts need to be higher. They need to be better. And time again, I feel like instincts fail on this team at certain levels, and it shouldn't. It shouldn't be. What else?
I think with that whole situation, I think Aiden was in a no-win situation. You have an athletic, very shifty wide receiver coming across the field. He was by himself, yes, but the rest of that O-line basically sealed off as a wall and put Aiden in the open field against a wide receiver. That's a bad matchup.
Well, the entire O-line shifted.
Bad matchup.
Yeah, the entire O-line shifted left. Aiden was on an island, but he should have known. Instinct should tell you if they're all going left and this guy's running across, and if you're watching Max Brosmer hand it off, you follow the ball.
They basically gave Jordan Addison a two-way go. Do I go inside, which is what the play looked like it was designed for, or do I go outside? The way the O-line moved the rest of those D linemen, the play was definitely designed for him to cut inside the tackle if Aiden took a wide berth. And it looked like Aiden took a wide berth, so he went inside. Pursuit angle was gone, and he just took off to the races. Jalen Mills has got to be more disciplined. He's got to stay a little further back. Coming down like that is always a recipe for disaster for a big play, because you're completely out of position to survey that section of your field. And that's why he's a safety. He's the last line of defense.
Yeah. I think I just nipped it in the bud. What's going on here is I
hear a lot of people talking about Dan's making a bad play and bad play calls and this and that. And I just result back to the same thing I said about Johnny Morton. I mean, like, Johnny Morton's deciding the personnel. Johnny Morton's scheming up the offense. Johnny Morton's putting the plays together. Johnny Morton's has his fingerprints all over this offense still. Yes, Dan took over the play calling to give his guy a break. Dan's a very loyal guy. He's not going to throw anybody under the bus. He's not going to say I was given misinformation or the plays that we were given or were set up in were wrong, and I got my information from my trusted friend. He's not going to do that. Dan Campbell's going to just absorb everything, learn, and then move on. Johnny Morton's not a good fit in Detroit. We have learned that. And the reason why is he doesn't adapt to what defenses are doing.
I think people forget that.
We're getting blitzed straight through the middle.
Yeah, hold on.
It was like all game.
So, Raw, let me
line up in a nickel double mug, and everybody came.
So hold on a second.
Through the middle.
Hold on a second here. So I want to
on your interior O line, your young interior O line, your third and fourth string interior O line, because of all our injuries. Why are we not running any kind of spread? Force the defense to spread out. Force them to.
Rob, we got to go back for a second. Hold on a sec.
So obvious.
Hold on a second. We got to go back for just a moment, Raw.
Guys.
Pause for just 1 second.
Because yeah, everybody could have dropped back in the coverage.
I don't
but
think
at least
Raw
there
can
you
hear me.
have a go route and you have an outside speed option or whatever. You're giving yourself a chance to get the ball out right on the snap. Jared Goff's a tough guy. He can take a hit. He has taken hits.
Can you hear
We
me?
need to run more spread, and we're not doing it.
Raw, can
We're
you
not helping our
Jesus.
line.
Can you hear me, Raw?
Did you lose me?
No, I don't think you can hear me. Can you hear me or no?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Now you can hear me. Okay, I was trying to cut you off like 5 minutes ago. I want
sorry.
to. It's my bad. It's just something on the back end. So I want to go back to something you were talking about with Johnny Morton. With Johnny Morton still doing the workup throughout the entire week, a lot of people are blaming, like you said, they're blaming Dan Campbell for a lot of this. Yeah, he's calling the plays, but he's getting fed the information. He didn't, is to what we know, to what extent we know. Johnny Morton is doing all the workup. He's doing all the defense workup, and you've got each independent positional group and their coaches doing their job to bring information to Johnny Moe. Then Johnny Moe is deciphering the information and creating the plan and creating the play plan, the play plan, the play calls, designing the script for the first, 10, 12, 15, 18 plays, whatever it's going to be, and where the Lions, should use extra offensive linemen or not, or what run scheme should work and what shouldn't, what pass play should work and what shouldn't. So he's bringing that plan to Dan. That has been going on for several weeks now. But Dan is the one that's, at the end of the day, calling the plays. Now, if he's been given this script, there's only so many calls that he has at his disposal without going into something totally off the wall, which the team hasn't practiced. Now, they may have done it throughout the year, but I think a lot of fans don't know this, that each game plan is for that team and that specific game. It is based on
That is correct.
It is based on who you have available, what your offensive line's looking like, the injuries, who's dealing with nicks and cuts and bruises, right? They might be in the game, but they might be decoy in a sense because maybe they're injured, but they're still there. You can't totally blame Dan for everything. Yeah, he's the head coach, but if he were to call things off the wall, it would look way worse. And he's not dealing with a full deck. I have full trust that if Dan Campbell was not the head coach and he was in there doing the offensive coordinator's job 100%, I think it would be a much better situation. I think Johnny Moe has screwed everything up so bad that it's kind of hard to unwind it.
And the reason why you can say I'm wearing a tinfoil hat or anything like that, the reason why I say he's kind of like a simp for the NFL, because he's put in to destroy what Detroit had built. In 2015, or last year when we went 15-2, the year before we went 12-5, is because when he was hired, he walked to a podium, introduced himself, and he gave us this elaborate speech on how he's not changing nothing because nothing's broken. And then we watched the games, like, he changed everything. I've never seen a team run so much bunch in tight formations. We never ran that much with Ben Johnson. We had a lot of motion, but we were never in this condensed packages to where the defense could just completely disguise everything they want to do on the field and fool Jared Goff or bluff blitz or whatever. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. It's a lot to digest, and there's a lot rattling off in my head. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, man. Trust me, I'm listening to it all. That there is a ton going on, and it is really hard to unwind it all and to make sense of it. But I think if we're going to move past it, one, I think that all of us fans, if we start with our fandom first, we're hurt. right? If we start with our fandom first, this was a very poor product this season. And if you remove any analytics, if you remove any stats, if you remove, all of the blowhards from the equation, that all they seem to bring to the table is edge, edge, and edge. Like that would have fixed nothing over the last 3 seasons. Nothing. Let me ask you this. This is probably one of the most polarizing questions that myself, I'm also guilty of. I brought, to the table 2 seasons ago when Frank Ragnow was getting ready to retire. At least we thought he was going to after the NFC Championship game. It sounded like he was going to retire from what he said in the post-game press conference. To 2 weeks later, he said, no, that was just feelings. And, maybe I said some things that didn't come off right, but no, I'm not retiring. But it was at that point that I said, Brad, should probably bring in somebody to get ready, right? Now, if you would have brought in a center and that next year's draft in 2024, whether you agree or disagree that most of your best centers come out of the first round, yes, you can get some good ones in the second and the third, but you're likely to have a better opportunity with a center out of the first round more often than not. Who would we have given up then? Who would we have not brought in? Okay, so Terry and Arnold. We bring in a center instead of Terry and Arnold. Was that the right move? Terry and Arnold was pick 24. I don't know that in 2024 that, let's see, who was taken? Graham Barton was at pick 26. So he passed over Graham Barton.
Then we'd be in the same position just at cornerback. Like the 53-man roster is a very complex thing. Like you gotta have supplements all over the field. Unfortunately for Brad, he thought what he had for supplements was adequate, and then more injuries continue to happen. Like, look at our cornerback room. We drafted Ennis Rickstraw. We drafted Thierry Arnold. We brought in Carlton Davis. We brought in DJ Reader. Out of everybody, we're still playing with third and fourth stringers as our starters.
And I think that's what a lot of
fans.
fans.
It's not just the center. It's not just our center position. It's not just our O-line. It's not like our healthiest position right now, I believe, is our D-line.
It's quarterback.
With DJ Reader.
It's quarterback.
With DJ Reader, Ali McNeil, Roy Lopez, Tyleek Williams. Like, those are our healthiest core of guys right now.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to fault them for not being effective, but look at the guys that are playing behind them. Like, they need more time to get to a quarterback. Like, the fastest route to a quarterback is in a straight line. Well, there's a reason why there's 3 interior O-line and only 2 outside tackles on the field. Because those guys are big. They will hurt your quarterback, but you need to stop them because that is the fastest and quickest way to the quarterback.
Yeah.
We are very fortunate that we have the DTs that we have on the field. Roy Lopez was a great pickup. DJ Reader, excellent veteran to teach the guys the game, the younger guys, Tyleek Williams, Ali McNeil. Like, that adds value to these guys. I don't suspect we'll need a DT for the next few years. However, that doesn't mean we won't draft a guy to replace Davenport, to supplement Aiden Hutchinson, to get him off the field a little bit more because he's exhausted. He plays too much.
And that's his fault, though. I think we know that, though. That's his fault. That is 100% on Aiden. 100% his fault. Aiden knows that he can come out. And quite honestly, Shepard has been taking him out. On second downs, he's been getting Aiden out of there more often than not the last couple of weeks. But you ask Calvin Shepard, you ask Aiden, he doesn't want to come out. He does not want to play every snap. He wants to play every snap. And I think as a coach, you got to have enough balls to just say, I'm sorry, Aiden. Like, this is the way it's going to be. And you've got to come
Every player
out.
wants to play every snap when you're in a game. It's unfortunate that you can only put 22 guys on the field at any given time.
Yeah. And so, I mean, Calvin Shepard brought it to our attention a few weeks ago, 7-8 weeks ago, or whatever it was, that, yeah, ask Aiden to come out of the game and see what response you get. And I don't agree with that.
At that point, he's got to be the coach. He's got to buckle down and say, hey, listen, you don't make the decisions, I do. I'm taking you out for a few plays to give you a rest so I can get 100% out of you instead of 85 or 70. Like, you have to be that person. Like, the players don't run the game. They play the game. The coaches run the game. The officials run the game. That brings me up to another point. Like, I don't understand how these officials continue to do what they do every single game, every single year. And we as fans just allow it. And the reason why I say we allow it, because, like, these guys are people. I'm not saying go out there and hurt these guys or anything like that, but, like, they can't continue to just obstruct games, create the outcomes, and then a lot of these people are losing a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's like gambling addiction is a real thing, and people are tied into the sport they love, and they lose everything because an official decided, you know what, I got to make sure this parlay comes in, or I got to make sure Vegas gets their chunk of change this game. I know a lot of people who bet a lot of money on the Lions to at least make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the only person who benefited from the Lions not being in the playoffs is Vegas, not the NFL, because we already proved the Detroit Lions ticket is the hottest ticket in the playoffs. We already proved that. When we went 12-5 and when we went 15-2.
Let's walk back to the rest for just a moment, because yesterday was no different than any other game. And I don't remember exactly what happened on the play, but I remember what the refs said and did. It was after a play, and they automatically go and huddle up. And I saw the lead ref take his microphone and his earpiece and put it on. And I'm like, well, who's he listening to? Is New York in his ear? Because they didn't announce anything. They didn't say previous play is under review or anything like that. They just huddled up, and then they just said that there was no issue with the time clock or with the play clock all of a sudden. So they just gave a timeout to both teams. They huddled up for some reason. There was no penalty called. And then all of a sudden there was no issue with the play clock. That didn't make any sense to me. But it
seems like maybe they were trying to get a break so that they can communicate with whoever they got to communicate to make sure the right things are being done in the game.
It's what it feels like. That, or it feels like, okay, what cockamamie bullshit are they trying to cook up here against the Lions, or you know, maybe it could have been the Vikings, but more often than not this season, they're huddling up and trying to come up with a penalty, trying to come up with something like, okay, what did you see? All right, what did you see? All right, what can we get away with? Hold on. Hey, New York, did this happen on the play? Or maybe during the play, during the huddle up, they're getting fed information like, okay, we saw the left tackle jump a little bit early. All right, we saw the center's butt move just a little bit. So you can call false start. Because you know as well as I do, Raw, that on every play, there's a penalty. Every play. It's just whether it's going to get called.
Not only every play, it's not just one player that usually causes a penalty. Usually there's 2 or 3 players that have some sort of flag you can throw on them. But when they say the discretion was up to the refs, well, at that point, there's nothing anybody can say about it. You could show whatever replay you want of it, Unless it didn't actually happen, there was no contact, no movement, no shift, no nothing, then they're going to have grounds to throw flags.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to me.
Um,
All right, so earlier I
I,
brought
ju-
up.
I just
Hold on. Earlier I brought up
Yeah.
the Frank Ragnow thing. With him coming back, don't Taylor Decker right off to the sunset. Do you think that the Lions are? I mean, would you agree or disagree with my take that the Lions have or are a little bit closer to a better offensive line than they are next season?
yes and no. See, the problem with getting Taylor Decker retiring is you got to bring in a left tackle. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, Penei Sewell can move over to left tackle, we'll be fine."
It's
But
tough.
Penei Sewell played the right tackle in college. He may have played left tackle for a few games, but he played right tackle. That's how we drafted him. That's where he's been his entire career. If you look at most of the great edge players, aside from Myles Garrett, your premier edge rusher lines up at left end over the right tackle. So I think we keep Penei Sewell there. We draft a left tackle. Now, when you draft a left tackle, you hit, you miss. It's a guessing game. There are players in the league that are coming into free agency. You could pick up an adequate one and see if he fits. But I definitely feel like we need to draft a left tackle. Like this whole draft, I feel like needs to be invested into the O-line heavy. Because I do not want to see another season to where we're playing a third string center as a starter because of injuries.
Well,
I think we need to 100% invest in the O-line again. And like 3 or 4 picks need to be spent on the O-line to make sure we have adequate options to substitute and get guys reps and get back to what Detroit does best, which is playing bully ball on offense.
So to your point
with
on
the balance of run and power.
Yeah, so to your point on the right tackle, so that has been an evolution in the league as well. That defensive ends, your best defensive end or your best 3-4 outside linebackers, they're lining up over the right tackle, the left side of the defense, right side of the offense. That has been that way for decades, and it's been an evolution now within the league where you're seeing teams are investing into right and left tackles more often. It's not just the left tackle, the blind side of the quarterback. They're investing heavily into the right tackle, and that's why it's also really hard to control your cap space when you have to invest the same amount of money on both sides. You're talking $50-60 million a year in 2 positions just on left and right tackle alone. It's not easy. And also to your point on drafting a left tackle, yep, it's hit and miss. Not every single one works out. And not every single one can just rotate to be a guard either. They're too big. I think it takes the right level of bend and flexibility to be a guard, just as it does as a left tackle, who are more stand up. Guards are down in the dirt more often than not.
Yes.
You can't be 6'8" and just bend over. You know what I mean?
More athletic.
Yeah. Especially when you have inside duo type run games, power run game that we run, you have to have flexibility and speed and athleticism at the guard play.
Yes.
Not all left tackles can do that.
Most guards are known for their strength. They're able to latch on to a bigger guy or a guy their size, which is usually a DT. They don't usually face too many linebackers unless it's a delayed blitz or an all-out blitz. But usually their main role of responsibility is to latch on and then either drive them backwards or just make sure they're stationary so that the quarterback can operate them.
And just a heads up right now, until we see releases done after the new league year, you're going to have some cuts. I'm looking at the free agency available on Spotrac.com or Spotrac, however you guys pronounce it. There's really not much happening for available left tackles. There's Cam Robinson. He's a 9-year vet out of Cleveland. There's Calvin Beachum, a 14-year vet, 36 years old. That's not an answer. There's DJ Humphries out of the Rams. He's 32 years old, 11-year vet. Then there's Spencer Burford, a 4-year vet out of San Francisco. Justin Skewell from Minnesota, 7-year vet. He'll be 30 years old. Joseph Noteboom, left tackle, 30 years old out of Baltimore. Charlie Heck, who Aiden beat the heck out of multiple times, left tackle out of Tampa Bay. Fred Johnson, left tackle, 29 years old out of Philly. So there's really not a bevy of options in free agency.
No. However, I do believe in this draft, there is a bevy of tackles coming into the league.
There is. Just like last year and the year before, I think they were pretty decent drafts for offensive line overall. When I look at center, so we talk about, okay, do we draft the number one center or do we bring in an all-pro type center? Buffalo, are they going to give up Connor McGovern? I don't even know what his injury history is right now or you know where he's at, but is that even a possibility? At 28 years old, 6-year vet, he's going to probably make about $17 million a year. It's a lot of money to sink in, but he might be the best one. Ryan Bates out of Chicago. I don't even know. I really don't know much about him. But then you have Tyler Linderbaum out of Baltimore. You know, he's probably the best center. Is Baltimore going to have to walk
right now?
Yeah, or will Baltimore have to walk away because of money? Are they going to go into a retooling?
That's probably a likely scenario, but I think if Baltimore is smart, they'll walk away from one of their higher priced players before they walk away from Linderbaum. However, Linderbaum didn't have an amazing season this year. His strength remains to be the question. He's got all the movement. He's got the footwork. He's got the hands. It's just a lack of power on his part. For a center, he's one of the, I don't want to call him weak. He's a grown-ass man, but he's not as physical as you'd like him to be. He's more of I don't know how to say this. He's more of a guy who's going to move you into the direction he needs you to be to get leverage on you. He's not going to out-muscle you as often as you would like you would see a Frank Ragnow do.
Well, I don't think, you know, calling a guy weak, you know, for in the NFL, it's like, it's not, you're not calling out their manhood as you are, you know, kind of how they perform at their position. So I get what you're saying. You know, his strength and his ability to be able to, you know, push guys, you know, direct them where they need to go so that you can help out your run game. I think it just is what it is.
He's definitely a better pass blocker than a run blocker for sure. And I think we've seen Derrick Henry take a little bit of a dip this year. It might be due to age, but I think it has more to getting around that initial DT on the line of scrimmage, who's able to slow him down a little, then guys rally tackle him.
All right, I got one final thing for you. I don't know how much time you have, but I got one final thing for you. One of the
I'm just making some ham and cheese pancakes, so we're good.
All right, ham and cheese pancakes. Never heard of that. The biggest question that I've seen coming off of Twitter today, which I didn't even get into all the Twitter wars yet, but the biggest downfall for Brad Holmes has been the last two drafts. What could Brad have done different? I know I've beat this horse to death because I don't think that there's much more he could have really done. And people want to, you know, pile up on the Isaac Tesla pick because we gave up a couple of third-round picks. Has Isaac Tesla not been one of the most, I don't want to say dominant, but he's consistent. He's trustworthy. He's a rookie. He's the 5th or 6th option when everyone's healthy. But when they typically call his number, he produces. So as he gets more opportunities, I think that he's going to be exactly what we need him to be. And you do need depth in high-end football players, and I think he's been just that. He's proven, even within his first season, that he can play the game. Now, give him another year, another offseason, more training. Where's he going to be at next year? But put him aside. What could Brad have done different in these last two drafts that would have made the difference this year?
Okay. Well, the one thing, as a Lions fan, there's not a whole lot Brad could have done differently to please the fan base. I mean, we have hindsight, unfortunately, just due to our history. We've seen so many players get taken, and we've taken less talent. Like, let's think about the Eric Ebron pick. We took him at 9 or 10, and Aaron Donald went at 13. Can you imagine Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh on the field together at the same time? Like, that would have been insane. But that didn't happen. That's hindsight 2020. As a Lions fan, you're always going to hear, we should have done this, we should have done that. It's very, very difficult for us to acknowledge some of the great picks he's made at times, and it's like some players just develop later than others as well. Like Miles Frazier, I think he played absolutely great for where he was drafted and what he's done on the field so far. Unfortunately, he was a little injured when he started the season, and we didn't get that much body of work with him. Same thing with Mahogany. He stepped in, he played great for 5 or 6 games, and then he got injured this year and hasn't been playing. I mean, I'm not saying he played amazing this year. I'm saying he played adequately for the people he had beside him. Taylor Decker with a banged-up left shoulder. Graham Glasgow stepping in as a center. He's basically a rookie center. Yes, he has some experience, but he's not a center. So let's just call it what it is. Graham Glasgow is a rookie center. 30-year-old rookie playing center. Like, you got Tate Radledge depending on a 30-year-old rookie center. Like, it's you're looking at a fruit bowl and you're calling an apple and orange, but you also got a pear. You got, like, there's other contingencies that are so much more involved and wrapped around everything that's going on that a lot of people lose sight of what they're looking at. It's a bad performance. All the fruit in the fruit bowl's rotten because they can't tell them apart. Like, there's a lot to digest. I don't think Brad Holmes could have done anything different. I think I love the team that we have. I think the roster's great. I think we need to get Johnny Morton out of the building. I was talking to somebody and he brought up a great OC coordinator option in McDaniels out of Miami. I absolutely love that idea. He runs a lot of spread. He made Tua's job really, really easy. And if you look at the talent gap between Tua and Goff, like it's pretty cut and dry. So if we could bring him in to work under Dan Campbell, run the offense, I think we might see a Ben Johnson-esque of an offense to where we use that balance and blend of power and speed and unpredictability. Come back to Detroit.
So here's, look, I love the flexibility, the versatility, the mixology that seemed to be was present in Detroit 23 and 24. But I do know this. Teams started to figure out what we were doing last season, whether things were telegraphed or not, or repetitive. It seemed like as we started to get into the later parts of the season, we still won 15 games, but defenses were starting to figure out what we were doing. I don't think that Ben Johnson is going to have this dynamic play calling offense unless he just scuttled, what he was doing in Detroit to get out, which could be a factor. I think that Ben Johnson's going to give him 2 years, and we're going to figure out what he's doing. Everyone's going to be able to figure out what he's doing. They're in a situation right now where they're catching lightning in a bottle with a shit schedule, and it's working out for them. But what's going to happen next year when they have to play a first place schedule or second place schedule? It's not going to be the same. I don't see the Bears lasting long. I really don't. I don't see it. I think they're having 1 year wonder, and next year, watch, the Bears probably won't even win 8 games.
I do like some of the concepts that Ben Johnson likes to run the ball with, like where he spreads his guards out and lets his tackles loop inside to get some momentum and running downhill, and then running straight behind those tackles while they got momentum going downhill. Like, I think that opens up the middle of that defense, and it puts a lot of stress on the safeties to come down and make a play on a power back or an offensive tackle, so that the rest of the defense can pinch inside to get the stop. He implemented that in Detroit with Sewell, and that was really, really effective. I like to think of Ben Johnson as a finesse coordinator. He's going to finesse the defense. He's going to trick them. He's going to manipulate them into doing things that he wants them to do. And we lost a lot of that surprise out of our offense. I think, like, the way our quarterback, or Jared Goff, plays, the way we like to run the ball, like, we're more benefit, or we benefit more in a spread type offense, a West Coast type of offense, a vertical power scheme to where we can kind of expose defenses and thin them out and put player on player matchups.
I do like the fact that he uses 6 and 7 offensive linemen, and that's something that we have not been doing, which doesn't make any sense to me. And I do get sick of the tight formations. The tight formations are getting real stale. You have to spread guys out.
Absolutely.
But
we're about ready to eat here, sir.
All right, buddy. Well, hope your family had a good Christmas. You guys enjoy the rest of your...
great Christmas.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you. You have a wonderful day, man.
Christmas. Stay blessed. Cheers to good health.
Always.
Have a great day.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Goodbye.
See ya. All right. I'm going to end calls there for the day. That was a long one. At least for a moment. Let me... Oh, we got someone calling in right away. All right, I'll take this call real quick. All right, it's Rockhound, Detroit Lions, and they hung up. All right, pause calls for just a moment. Something I want to get into. So I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but at the same time, I'm not surprised. It was Terry and Arnold. And he said a couple of things, and I don't know if he necessarily meant to say what he said, the way that he said it. But he had a lot to say about J-Mo in a very little amount of words. I guess at the start of this, he was saying how he's blessed to be in Detroit. He called himself out, too. He said he's blessed to be in Detroit because he's going to get the time that he needs to develop. But he also said, let me go back. Let me rephrase this. Cam Newton was saying the NFL today is drastically different from allowing players to be able to develop. He was talking about quarterbacks. And how Jordan Love is kind of like a dying breed where he was allowed to develop. And the quarterbacks that are drafted now, you're drafted to go on the field and start right now and produce right now. Whereas giving your quarterbacks a little bit of time, at least a season to sit, will have far and away better results than just feet to fire year one. It is what it is. You lose a lot of confidence quickly in the NFL at all positions, but especially at the quarterback position. And so when you're not given time to develop, players may look like they're bad in the beginning, right? People call them busts, but then they move on to a different team. And then they become these great athletes, these great players, Pro Bowl, all pro type players. Why is that? Well, because they needed some time to develop. And some players, like Ross said a little bit ago, develop later than others. Some positions take a little bit more time than others. And we know that the cornerback position is one of the most difficult. Center position is one of the most difficult. Those take some time, usually. So that's where Terrian kind of flipped it on Cam Newton and said, let me talk about myself and how I'm blessed to be in Detroit because I get the time to develop. But then he also mentioned this year and how when he was hurt from the very beginning, that it was team first, not player. Now, we've heard a lot from Dan Campbell. We've heard a lot from Brad Holmes and a lot, I think, from these players that have consistently said that they're so blessed to be in Detroit, playing for Dan and playing for a coach that cares about his players. And what Terrian said, man, I don't know that he should have said. But simply stating the fact that it was team first and that when he was injured, that he was being forced to play is the way that I took what he was saying. That his shoulder was in pieces and it's play. It's time to go. You're in the game. Team first. And then when he made that hit, the one hit that I told you, that was the hit that hurt his shoulder again, became popped up in the run game, popped that dude, and then he was done. Like, that's when his shoulder was done for. But up until that time, he felt like he was being forced to play over injury, team first. That's an indictment on Dan Campbell. And that's less of an indictment on the staff that is getting these players ready. And so we've heard a lot of the complaints from fans, even myself at times where I've said, what the hell is going on with strength and conditioning? And why do we have so many players that are injured? And so many players that just can't get back from injury. And if what Terrian is saying is that they're forcing players to play through injury as opposed to getting healthy, but yet they're giving them enough time to develop in Detroit and they're not going to give up on you right away, I'm lost as to what's really then going on. Are you getting time to develop or are you being forced to play? Because I think they're two totally different things. But if we have players that are being forced to play injured, does that not make more sense as to what the hell's going on right now? If players are nicked up and they have injuries that could become a major problem if they're not taken care of and they're being forced to play, that's why we're seeing so many injuries. Deuce Staley said it best, 4 seasons ago or whatever it was, when he was telling DeAndre Swift, there's a difference, playing hurt and playing injured. And I truly believe that. Being hurt, okay, you've got some nicks, some cuts, some bruises. Playing injured, you've got something really wrong. It's not crippling you just yet, but it could turn into something a lot bigger. And if you don't treat it, you can't play. It would be a detriment to the team. But in this case, it sounds like we have players that are playing injured. And they shouldn't be. Because Terrian Arnold definitively said shouldn't have been out there. And that he felt like he's the team first mentality is that he's being forced to play. That is that's a problem. Because what he said throughout this podcast was also about JMO, in talking about having development, in saying that he said, look at JMO. Lions didn't give up on him. And I like did a double take, like, what did he just say? And I rewound it and I listened again. And he said the Lions didn't give up on JMO. So look, he's got this big contract now. Well, the whole time I was saying that JMO was not developing. The whole time I was saying that JMO didn't have a developed route tree. The whole time I've been saying that JMO doesn't get separation. The whole time I was saying that JMO was, immature. And it was clearly apparent in his rookie season, the last 6 games of the year, he didn't know the playbook. He had the entire season to learn the playbook. Injured, recovering, on the sideline, got in, looked like crap. But everyone wanted to blame Goff. And then the next season, not a great season for him. It was okay. Explosive here. Not involved in the game. Multiple games. Then explosive. And then not involved. Disappears. But during that time, everyone wanted to blame Goff. And Terry and Arnold, for whatever reason, just kind of outed JMO and said that he's lucky the Lions didn't give up on him. They let him develop. TA needs to be careful with what he's saying, because I don't think that this podcast is helping him. If anything, it might wash him out of Detroit. Look, I appreciate TA, and I said, in that podcast that, that was some of the best information that I've been able to pull down from athletes in a long time, because of how transparent Cam Newton was. And look, Cam Newton is an extreme, I know as polarizing as he is. He talks about being on brand and how important being on brand is, and everything for him is an act. Well, I'm not on brand because I don't act, right? I am who I am. I'm not going to put on a show. But Cam Newton is largely putting on a show, because if you listen to him speak, he's a really intelligent dude. He knows a lot. He gets it. But when you catch him on a show, First Take or whatever he's on, he's acting. All right, he's got some things that he believes in, but the way that he delivers it, he's on brand. TA was not on brand in his own podcast. TA was being very serious that the Lions didn't give up on JMO. I get people are going to say, but look at JMO's stats this year. JMO's had a good year. Look how explosive he's been. And I'll say, okay, I don't care about stats all the time. I don't care about stats. Why? Because 7 sacks didn't win you a game. It's what you did in between all those plays that matter. It's crashing an edge when you let up a 65-yard run. That's the play that you have to show up, Aiden. That's the play you have to make. It's not about the $1 million guy that was pulled off the street. It's about the guy that's on the front line, that needs to be the leader, that needs to show up. And for somebody like JMO, who's now a leader, right, because he's got a big paycheck, he's viewed at by the fan base as this electric, dynamic football player, that it's all Jared Goff's fault when he doesn't get the ball. Go watch his routes. Go watch his route. They're apathetic. They're lazy. He has zero separation. And then some plays you'll see, like I said in the beginning half of the season, I saw a different JMO. Blocking downfield, doing everything right. But when the times get tough and you're not able to run the ball, and you don't have an offensive line that's protecting Jared Goff good enough, or any quarterback for that matter, where is that next level of that player going to show up? When is that player going to be able to know, okay, my quarterback's probably going to have some heat on him. I need to work back towards the ball at the top of my route. I never see it. I've seen it one time from JMO this year. And we could go dip off into the play calling and say, well, that's Dan Campbell's issue. Why didn't he call a comeback route? Why didn't he call a curl route? You know, why didn't he call something to have always, an outlet for Jared Goff to have someone working back? And that's all scheme stuff, too, that should be in there. And I'm sure it is. Or how our guys are not getting to the sticks and we're constantly throwing the freaking football short of the sticks. Well, you think that Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to constantly lean into it? No, they're bracketing Amon-Ra St. Brown. They've always seemed to have somebody around him more often than not. A second player, second defender. That means JMO should be wide open. And he has some of the lowest separation on the team. And the dude runs a 4.3. How are you not getting separation? It's not because of speed. It's because of your route technique. And if you're not displaying good route technique, DBs know exactly where you're going. So I'm not happy about it. No. But this is when we needed players to step up. In the last 6 or 7 weeks, you need to look to your stars to say, what are you doing above and beyond? Penei Sewell's been on the ground 3 or 4 times this year, injured, and then he made. All right, I think we're good now. Probably means it's time for me to get off here soon. Like Maureen said, I don't want to see Aiden gone either. I don't. I just want to see him show up when the moment is the brightest and the biggest, and we need big plays. Yeah, he had, I think, a couple of sacks yesterday that were on third down. Eric told me this morning that they resulted in punts. That's great. It's phenomenal. And those are the sacks that matter the most when you're flipping the field. Those are the sacks that matter the most. Let me just peer at the ESPN box score for a moment. And this is probably the last thing I do today because I got to get breakfast myself. I got to get my son out to breakfast. We go take off here and enjoy the rest of the day. I don't get to see him much. Here we go. Play by play. I'm just going to go straight to the fourth quarter. Man, it was a lot of back and forth. Fumble, punt, field goal, touchdown, fumble, field goal, end of game. Right? It was one of the worst fourth quarters that I've seen in a long time. You had a change of possession 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times in the fourth quarter. That's insane. 9 times. Third quarter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 changes of possession. That's 15 changes of possession in the second half. And again, the Lions can't score in the third quarter. Interception, punt. But again, if you go look at these interceptions and you look at the routes, I'm going to go look at the first one right now. 136. No, I'm sorry. 933 in the third, or 802 in the third. Come on, why doesn't it not give me the option of I just got to go find it. All right, here we go. Let me watch this play. Jared Goff's in shotgun and immediately has pressure up in his face. Andrew Van Ginkel. Here's what I don't get. Ratledge. So Ratledge takes the inside guy. Andrew Van Ginkel is lined up over Penei Sewell. Andrew Van Ginkel splits Ratledge and Penei. Ratledge probably should have turned to his right to pick up Van Ginkel, but he still picked up another player. And God, is that Jahmyr Gibbs back there? Oh, it's David Montgomery. No, it's Gibbs. Gibbs still picks up a block. So they're bringing a ton of players. Now, do I like the play by Jared Goff on this? No, I don't. I don't like him just tossing it up, but he literally had pressure in his face in less than 2 seconds. Now, if he would have thrown that ball short, he had somebody wide open. But instead, he went all the way downfield to Isaac Tesla. So can we blame that play on Jared Goff? What else is he going to do? He could have taken the sack and lost 8 yards. He could have thrown the ball somewhere and taken a grounding, or you throw an interception, right? It was 3rd and 18 already. 3rd and 18. So you know what that pass was? It was a punt. That's what it was. And that's how you have to look at it. You can't look at it and say that, oh, he threw another interception. Well, if you can't block for the guy and you're getting pressure in his face in under 2 seconds, now you're throwing up a punt. That's what he's doing. Okay. So that was the interception in the third quarter, the first interception in the third quarter. We get the ball back. On the first play, we throw another interception. At 2:57 left in the third quarter. Let me go to that play. Tight formation again. 1st and 10. All right. On this play, I was really disappointed in Amon-Ra St. Brown, but there was good protection. So the Vikings bring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 delayed blitz by Van Ginkel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, a play that we normally have, that we normally run, that is completed, is Amon-Ra on that middle crosser, right? And above him, you have J-Mo streaking to get, a deep ball, which could have been there had Jared Goff just tossed it deep, but J-Mo still wasn't open at the time that he threw that ball. J-Mo was not open yet, and he wasn't looking back at the quarterback. He was still running downfield. But why did this interception happen? I can tell you why. Number one, it's a play that we run all the time. Harrison jumped the route. But if you look at Amon-Ra St. Brown's cut, when he cut and pivoted and made his move to the inside, lazy. Just a lazy plant. He didn't dig hard and sell it. He's just kind of rounding through the route. He rounded it. And I get it, on some of these plays, you're kind of rounding, you're fading to get a little bit deeper on that deeper cross. But when you round that corner and you don't plant and dig and cut it in sharp, that means it was going to take Amon-Ra St. Brown that extra 1/8 of a second to get to the ball. Because the ball is already out. This is a timing play. And it was not a badly thrown ball. The ball was exactly where it needed to be. But I will also again state that I feel like Amon-Ra St. Brown could have had a better route on that play. It just looked a little lazy to me. But I got to give that to Goff. Have to. I can't give it to Amon-Ra St. Brown, even though I think it was a lazy route. So one interception yesterday by Jared Goff, I think was his fault for sure. For sure. One was a punt. The fumbles, too many. You know, Jared Goff gets the fumble because he's supposed to get the snap. Where was this? First quarter, second possession, 3:46 left in the first. Let's watch it again. It gives me a stomach ache every freaking time. I want to see the end zone look, and it's not giving it to me. Problem with the video. Why is it not giving it to me? Apparently, there's no end zone look. I don't know. This whole game was just. Here we go. Now I got the end zone look. It seems like as soon as Goff goes up and starts getting his hands underneath, the ball is snapped. And it's snapped hard to the right inside thigh, and it just bounces off of Goff's hands. That's a snap problem. Clearly. But that's not Jared Goff. Another fumble. Second quarter. 14-22. This is on Jahmyr Gibbs. Was this his first fumble of the year? I mean, it's just a great play by the defense. You know, whenever you're inside like that, you got to have two hands over the ball. I can't clearly see if he did or if he didn't. But again, not Jared Goff's problem. Can't fumble the football. Can't hate on Jahmyr Gibbs. He never fumbles the ball. He usually protects the ball really well. Another fumble. This time in the fourth quarter at 2:03. Okay, maybe not. Where was that? Fourth quarter. Sack fumble. 15 minutes in the fourth quarter. So at the top of the fourth, Jared is sacked. Now, I don't know that I agreed with this. It looked like Jared was down when he touched the ball. Did he possess it? But again, go look at. I'm sorry, that's not that play. That's a different play. Look at these two ends, Van Ginkel and Dallas Turner. And if you guys remember from my draft work, I said that Dallas Turner was going to end up being one of the best defensive ends out of that draft, and he is really turning out to be that. Taylor Decker, not even close. Or, I'm sorry, not Taylor Decker. The tight end, Ferksker, not even close to getting his hands on Turner. And then Skipper, not even close to being able to get behind him and to get in front of Turner. Not even close. Both Van Ginkel and Turner collapsed Jared Goff at the same time. 2 seconds. 2.25 seconds, 2.4 seconds. Somewhere in that range. Can't blame Jared Goff for that. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? It's a great football play by a defense. Horrible football play by your offensive line. The last fumble that I review here was fourth quarter, 3:08. I think this might be the one where Van Ginkel ended up getting it. Yeah. High snap. Terrible snap. Again. It's kind of hard to say whether, Goff really didn't possess that ball. So at the end of the day, here's what I'm going to say. Yep, a lot of penalties, a lot of turnovers, a lot of huge mistakes. You can't blame Jared Goff for all this stuff. You can't. I'll give him the one interception. But all these fumbles and botched snaps, that's not on Goff. Yeah, do you expect him to catch the ball? Sure. But the ball is supposed to be snapped. These are pros. Goff shouldn't even have to look, and he knows that ball's going to hit him in the hands. But when that ball is coming 6-8 inches to your right, and it's wobbly, what's he going to do? What is our third center of the year? What's he going to do? Hell, might even be our fourth center of the year. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my audio. I just turned it up again. I have no idea why it keeps dipping. So anyway, with that, I'm out of here. I hope you guys can try and enjoy the rest of your day today. Lions postseason is obviously not going to happen. But what will happen is draft work, and we're already starting to get into some of that. Do me a favor, check out DetroitFootballJournal.com. I've got a couple of posts already on two guys that I like. David Bailey, yeah, it's not going to happen, I don't think, but I do like where we're picking. I think that this is going to give Brad an opportunity to move up. Here, I'll post this again. Detroit Football Journal. If you sign up, it's free. But if you sign up between now and the end of the year, you'll get a free year of paywall-free content. So you don't have to pay for anything that gets paywalled. And there's going to be a lot of paywalled articles and tape review, film review, and things like that on the draft. So this is going to be my first year trying to put up a lot of stuff on there. It'll also be on YouTube, but a lot of the tape work is going to be on my website because I don't have to worry about the copyright when it's behind a paywall. I do, but I don't. But anyway, try to enjoy the rest of the season. Look, I don't want the Bears to win. I would rather see the Packers win the NFC North. I don't want to see the Bears win the NFC North. Either way, I think both those teams get bounced early. And I'm not just saying that because I'm spiteful or angry or whatever about the Lions. I still haven't seen a team that the Bears have really beat that is a great team. Could be the Lions of Week 18. We're not a great team right now. We're not. All right. It's not going to get any easier. Just hang in there. And we'll start getting into draft work almost immediately. And that's the best part of our season. Usually after Thanksgiving, we made it to Christmas this year. Previous 2 years, we made the playoffs. I'll take it. We're fine. It's not where we wanted to be, but we'll be fine. You guys have a wonderful day. Go Detroit Lions. Go on Pride. You guys take care. Adios. Bye-bye.
Pressured by Hutchinson. He goes down